Blog Talk Radio.
God, you are great and you are worthy to be praised. We will praise you all our days. We are your students. Teach us your ways, word by word, page by page. In the Hebrew we say, Elohim, אתה גדול ואתה ראוי לשבחים. אנו נשבח אותך כל ימינו. אנחנו התלמידים שלך, ללמד אותנו את האמת שלך, מילה אחר מילה, דף אחר דף.
Yeah. It's Talk One's Talk. Talmudim. I just wanna get the knowledge. Wonder how they got it. I see a different message in the pages and decided to get the understanding that the Father had prescribed them. I'm thinking that it's very concrete. Show us we will listen. Show us and we listen. That they took can't change. Context is a must. Any artist can paint, contain your vision, trust. Moving the picture around like an auction, getting bucks off your often, cause you rush from a lost sense in your customs and your ways to the most high is appalling. Yeah, that's us. And here's the reason, the cause of it's the gist. Who exactly we pleasing, the Father or the rest? He set apart, Talmudim wrote his word perfectly, but we often want to change according to our own belief. All we gotta do is read. Dig a little deep, learn a little Ibrit. Royal Shabbat Abba, Eloheinu Aga. All praises to the Father for bringing our knowledge further indeed. I can't start from the beginning and read and make sure it's not preconceived, the man.
Welcome to His Talk One's Talk, where our mission is and has been from the beginning to contextually read the scriptures from the understanding from the people that wrote it, letting go of preconceived notions and any doctrine that hasn't been consistent or doesn't line up. This show is without bias, with the goal to grow together as a family. The call-in number is 516-595-8238, and we are open to any questions or comments. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone. Shalom. Welcome for another. Hey, can y'all hear that? Can you hear that? Oh, hello. You still there? Oh, that.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't hear anything.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. I apologize, everyone. This is Shema Talamido, a.k.a. Shema Ben Yael, and we are having another Shabbat, and we're going through the scriptures today, 1 Kings chapter 16 through 19. 4 chapters today, everyone. Today is going to only be me and Oret. Your dear guys not able to make it today, but we're going to hold it down. We ask the Most High to cover him and his family. And it's going to be a great show today, man. It's going to be a great show today. We're going to talk about the reign of Baasha, Elah, Zimri, and Ahab. Elijah in the time without rain, Elijah and the prophets of Baal, Elijah at Mount Horeb, which is Mount Sinai. So I think it's going to be a very interesting show. A lot of things are going to be brought out, and I look forward to hearing those that call in, or even those that might go on his Talk One Talk Radio page on Facebook. You can post something there if you have questions. We can see it. We can respond to it during the show. And press 1 if you have anything to say. If you're someone new that's listening in, we ask that you press 1. If you're online and you would like to say something at the current moment or live on the show, just call in at 516-595-8238. Again, that is 516-595-8238. And before we get started, Orek, did you have any opening remarks or comments that you wanted to make before we start?
Man, it's taking me a long time to get this mute button pressed sometimes, I guess, today. But this is Orek Dean, and you know me, silly but straightforward with it. There's some great stuff I've seen in this in these chapters. Some just stuck out to me. They don't have to be great to you, but it was just great to me. Some things that I saw, just willing to see. I'm waiting to see what other counterparts from my has. And we're gonna roll kind of through Kings, and we're gonna go to 2 Kings coming up, and then we're just asking that y'all continue to be a part, because we're starting to get into some of this meat of things. I know a lot of times when we go running through the beginning parts of the book, a lot of times people feel like, Genesis and all the laws, they're boring to people. I mean, let's keep it real. There's a lot of people that feel like this, hey, look, I'm one of those people that was like, man, I'm not going to keep reading the laws. You ask some brothers, I'm like, I read the laws all the time. I've read the laws 1,000 times. I want to keep reading these laws. But it's a necessary evil. Okay, it's necessary because once you start going through, you want to know what certain people did wrong when you see them in the scriptures. So what I'm saying, I retract, not saying I don't want to go through laws, but I understand why people didn't want to go through Deuteronomy and stuff like that. Just looking at the standpoint that way I look. But now, we're out of that. We're out of Deuteronomy. We're out of Joshua's. We rolling now. We're about to start getting some of these prophets. If you don't have the foundation laid before we get to the prophets, you might miss something. And I think as we start to see stuff, as we've been seeing stuff that I have not seen before, I'm being totally honest with some of the stuff, like, how did I miss this? Because you weren't looking for it, because I wasn't looking for it or whatever. Now it's like, whoa, wait a minute, now I can't wait to get there because it's the foundation that we have laid. You have to lay your foundation from the beginning. All right? Better heat. Okay? So, that being said, I'm just ready and eager to keep it rolling.
All right, so let's get started because we have 4 chapters. Within these chapters, I think it is probably 1. I really don't have a lot, but since we do have 4, want to get it moving. But it's only 2 of us today, so probably the time will probably be pretty decent anyway. So I already gave a little opening, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with chapter 16 is where we're going to begin. We left off, and we saw that it was a consistent way of the leadership was taking place in Yisrael when he was doing evil in the eyes of the Most High. And I want you all to really pay attention to that. The leadership does matter. Okay, the people, their individual walk and their individual connection with the Most High is very important, but the leadership really does have a part in the outcome of the people. So I want to get started, and I want to read verse 1. I'm going to start off with verse 4, but I want to start off with just verse 1. It says, the word of Yahweh, or Yahweh, came to Yahu or Jehu, son of Hanani, concerning Baasah, saying, inasmuch as I have elevated you from the dirt and placed you as ruler over my people, Yisrael, yet you have gone in the path of Jeroboam and have caused my people Israel to sin. to anger with me with their sins. So this is what I was just speaking of. I was just speaking of leadership, right? So an influence. A lot of times we take on the ways of those who were before us. The whole idea is to learn from the mistakes that they've done, and we see that he didn't do so. So going down to verse 4, this is very important. This prophecy. It says, anyone of the house of Baasah who dies in the city, the dogs will eat, and whoever of his dies in the field, the birds of the heavens will eat. This is important. These are things that I believe. I want to put this out there. Me and Yedea was talking. I'm not sure he spoke to Orech on this, but one of the breast shows we want to explain to people all of our different methods of how we look at contacts. And one of the things is, like he just said, he said, I got some good things I want to bring out. It might not be big to you, but it is to me. Reason being, a lot of these are like context clues. Sometimes we'll look at a prophecy and we might not know where it came from, and it's little things like this. This is a prophecy. Okay, so we want to make sure we pay attention to this. Going down, I want to jump down to verse 7. Now, this I think is very key too. So we go down to verse 7, and I'll start at 6. It says, Baasah lay with his forefathers and was buried in Tirzah, and his son Eli reigned in his place. So we see at this point that Baasah, who followed in the way of Jeroboam, has died. It explains that the rest of the things dealing with him is in the book of Chronicles. I'm sure we're going to see that when we go to it, but this is the one I really want to point out. And also through the hand, verse 7, of Yahu, son of Hanani, the prophet, was the word of Yahuwah concerning Baasah. I want to just pause on that for a second. It's letting you know that Jehu or Yehu, which was the prophet, was the word of Yahuwah. Concerning this matter, of course, but was the word of Yahuwah. Today we look at modern. I want to stay in context, and we're going to stay on this chapter, so I'm not going to go forward. But today we look at a lot of words, and we don't look at it in its context, in its cultural understanding, and in its personification. That's what this book. Those are one of the 2 or 3 things that people do not look at. This is not the first time that we saw this, that someone else was called the word of Yahuwah. So let me repeat this again. We have somebody that just came in. Verse 7, it says, and also chapter 16, it says, and also through the hand of Yahu, son of Hanani, the prophet, Yahu the prophet, was the word of Yahuwah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Listeners, correct me if I'm wrong, Orech. But I know for a fact this isn't the first time that someone else was called the word of God. And simply meaning the vessel in which his word or ideas comes through, right? So I just wanted to pinpoint that and take a note on that, look into it yourself. But I thought that was pretty awesome to bring out. Going down to verse 9, it says, we can start at 8. It says, well, first of all, the prophet that came and brought this word, which he was called the word, is coming to bring this word because of the evil that they've done in his eyes. So we want to keep that. We want to make sure we continue to point out that. We see this is the fall of these kings as doing the wrong in the eyes of the Most High, and this is what the prophets was coming to do. We're going to see that. And I can't wait till we get to the chapter after. It shows a lot of what the prophets did mostly, and then how can we, if we look at today's day and age of prophets, I like to compare the prophets those that call themselves priests today to the priests back then. I like to compare and see if are they really, according to Scripture, are they holding to these titles? So we want to see the characteristics in these prophets or priests. We want to see how they operated and what ways that they operate in. You know, so I'm seeing that the prophet came when it was a word of consistently wise, a word of regarding the Most High, speaking on their evil. Okay, so going down to verse 8, it says, in the 26th year, of Asa, king of Judah, Eli, son of Baasah, became king over Israel, Yisrael, Tirzah, ruling for 2 years. His servant, this is one of the things I want to point out, his servant Zimri, commander of half the chariots, conspired against him. His servant Zimri, commander of half the chariots, conspired against him. What I wanted to point out is this is one of the things where I say we should learn from the mistakes. I think that we should surround ourselves. I mean, sometimes you never can know people's agendas and how they actually are, but we see this in Israel. We see the conspiracy or the backbiting or the snake ways, you know, and I know we was talking about community type thing. I'm bringing reality into this too, everyone. Like, we're talking about how we will in the future would like to build a community together. This stuff can't happen. Now, to say it won't, that's not true. I know it's a chance, but we want to keep building ourselves to the point that we have integrity to we won't do this, man. We're seeing this a lot in Scripture. So I just wanted to point that out, too, in verse 9. Going down to verse 10, it says, Zimri came, struck Eli down, and killed him. Okay? In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah, and he reigned in his place. Now, this is going back to that prophecy Yahweh spoke of in verse 4. In verse 4, it says, anyone of the house of Baasah who dies in the city, the dogs will eat, and whoever of his dies in the field. If you read verse 10 again, it says, Zimri came, struck Eli down, and killed him in the 27th year of Asa. It happened that when he became king, when he sat upon the throne, he struck down the entire house of Baasah. So this prophecy actually took place. We see this prophecy took place. And verse 11 as well. Verse 11 happened that when he became king, when he sat upon the throne, he struck down the entire family of Baasah. He did not leave over any male offspring, and all the relatives and friends, he killed everyone. So this prophecy actually went through. And when you go down, it says, verse 12, Zimri annihilated the entire house of Baasah in accordance with the word of Yahweh, which he had spoken concerning Baasah through the hand of the prophet Jehu, or Yehu, because of all the sins of Baasah, of the sins of the son of Eli, who sinned and caused Israel to sin. There's the leadership I was speaking of. You know, sometimes I know that every man is accountable of their own sin, but sometimes it's an influence there. It's an influence that takes place that causes others to sin. And that is why a lot of people don't want to get in leadership as well. And I would say if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure that you are in tune with the Most High and that you don't cause those people to do the same thing that we're seeing. This is what we want to learn. We want to learn from the mistakes of these people. And it says, with their vanities. So what's vanity, you know? And verses 14 through 11, I'm not going to go through the whole chapter, but 14 through 11 goes into what I'm speaking of with the leadership right now, causing them to sin due to the influence. When you jump down to, and basically also in the remainder verses in this chapter, is showing the trickle effect of this influence, the touring away from Yah or Yahweh. So, I mean, that's all I really had in this chapter. I don't know if you wanted to bring out anything that you possibly had, but I just really wanted to pinpoint verse 7. Let me know what you think on that, if you think or hear him calling Yahu or Jehu right here, the word of Yahweh as well. So that's one of the biggest things I wanted to bring up. And I'm done.
Well, good stuff, man. You had a lot of stuff, and you kind of knocked out a lot of my points that I had. But as far as your verse 7, you know, because I got about three verses in front of me. So, and this is the scriptures right here. This says the moral of the word of Yahweh came by the prophet Yehu, son of Hanani, against Baasha. And then I don't know what the KJV said. I didn't look at that, but when I looked at the interlinear or whatever, it said by the hand of Jehu, and but the Stones edition says a little differently, you know, because I got the Stones edition in front of me too, so I read how yours said it. So it's worded differently in different versions. So you know, you might have a bit of a, not for me, but a bit of a argument, or I didn't want to use the word argument, but disagreements from some people, depending on what version they read and how they go back. So,
no, you're right.
That's just what them different versions say. Not just what different versions say. You know how they go. And just good stuff that was being said. I'm not gonna go because I had like a bunch of stuff. I did have 7 wrote down, but I had them wrote down because of the word that was said and how it was fulfilled. So he kind of pointed out where it got fulfilled at, and you know, going from that down to 12, so I don't have to do any of that. But between because I got something on 29, right? Okay, so between that you have the things that happen. Okay, the conspiring against, and how the people was divided, and how Zimri was taken off for what he did. So I just want to give a little background a little bit. So Zimri was the one that did the stuff against Baasha. He was on the throne for 7 days, and then Omri comes up, and you know, Israel was with him, and they went to go siege the place, and then Zimri killed himself. Basically, that's how I read it. In 18, and it came to be when Zimri saw that the city was captured, he went into a high place of the sovereign's house and burned the sovereign's house down upon himself with fire and died. Okay, because of the sins which he had sinned in doing evil in the eyes of Yahweh, and walking in the ways of Jeroboam, and in the sins of which he had commanded to make Israel sin. So just go caveat of what Shema said earlier, this goes back fathers and fathers and fathers. I mean, they're naming the first person, and they're naming one of the first people, you know, that kind of did it, and they're saying walked in the sins of Jeroboam, if y'all understand what I'm saying. And that's going back into, like, if you look at David, like how he's referenced as doing good and being a good servant, it still gets referenced back to David for doing good. So it's nothing, you know, slack or something. It's not a surprise to see that the evil, they're going back generations to say, hey, he walked like him. Even though it might even say that he did more evil in the sight, it still was attributed to kind of like who started this whole snowball effect. All right, and then all right, I'm gonna go. I was just giving a little what's called it. So Omri comes and he becomes the king. And then Ahab is after Omri. Okay, and I only gave that so you can get to my where I was at. I wrote down 30, the 29 and 30. I'm just gonna read it. Ahab, the son of Omri, became sovereign over Israel, and Ahab, son of Omri, reigned over Israel in Shomaron, 22 years. And they have some of Omri did evil in the eyes of Yahweh more than all those before him. So if you see it starts to get worse, as we see, like if we've been reading it, you'll hear more than all those before him. And now, I mean, they keep topping the ones before them with the evil. So it's not getting any better. And this is what happens when you have generations of things that you do. And let's just use like reality, like he was saying. It's like if I was a thief, and then I'm a good thief, but I teach my son to how to steal at a young age, he probably become a better thief than me. And then he teaches his son at a young age, he'll become better than him. And then eventually, you know, down the line of generations, you have a real great thief, you know, because it's been passed down from generations. You have different traditions and stuff that happens, and you start inflicting those things at a young age. We can use that with good or evil. Let's use that with the evil part, but let's use, because that's the word, but as far as let's use the good part. We learn this truth at an older age. We teach it to our children at a younger age. They'll be better, and they'll be more proficient at it as far as being able to do this thing better or read this way in context or learn the Hebrew better than we were by the time they get to our age. So then their children, if by the time they have children and they're at our age, if they have children at the same age we have them, their children will be even better than them, and so on and so forth. So we can inflict a good tradition or a bad tradition, but as you see, the evil, it starts, it says he did more evil, and he did more evil. You know what I mean? And it's because of this passing down of evil, basically, of what you see as far as this idolatry. All right, that's what the evil was. All right, 30, what was that? Okay, I read 30. And this is where you get the Jezebel part in 31. I'm just going to reference that, how he married Jezebel, and this is, you know, one of the biggest stories in the Word with the Jezebel and Ahab, and as I was going to church, the Jezebel spirit, and any woman that did like usurp some type of leadership has some kind of Jezebel spirit, and have made it into some kind of demonic spirit that roams the earth to steal her. I mean, it's kind of got kind of spooky, some spookism in it, if you ask me at this point. But I'm not discrediting anything. I'm just saying this is where the story is. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna skip down to 34, and let me go to 33 real quick. And it says that they have made an Asherah, and they have did more to provoke Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, than all the sovereigns of Israel before him. So he basically then made some slaughtering places to Baal. It says in 32 Baal and pillars and stuff like that. So he's raising up pillars and stuff like that and slaughtering places to other deities. All right, this is making it even worse. All right, then 34, in his days, Hiel of Bethel built Yerohah, or what's the English rendition of that? Jericho. Boom. He laid his foundations at the cost of Abiram, his firstborn, and at the cost of the youngest son, Segub. He set up his gates according to the word of Yahweh, which he had spoken through Joshua, son of Nun. So I just want to go back and read where that was said, just so you can match it up to something that was said. So that's in Joshua 6 and 26. And I'm going to go back there and read it just for everybody to know what was spoken. Because when it says something was spoken by this person, we should be able to go back and see it. That's just how I am at this point. So 6 and 26. And Joshua warned them at that time, saying, "Cursed is the man before Yahweh who rises up and builds this city, Jericho, or Jericho. He lays his foundations with his firstborn And with his youngest, he sets up his gates. And Yahweh was with Joshua, and the report about him was in all the land. That's just the end of that. I just wrote to the end of that chapter. So this is a word saying, curses the man that does the same thing that Ahab just did. So that's the reference back. And that's all I have for this chapter. And I don't know. I'm not looking at the thing. So I don't know if anybody did the queue.
We got Brother Mercy in the queue. Bring him in before let you take over with your chapter, verse 17. So, Brother Mercy, you are live.
Hey, brothers, happy Sabbath. I was trying to figure out where you guys were at. I was following the Kings, so I was just trying to figure out what you guys were discussing. Were you on chapter 17?
That was 16, and we're going to 17 now. After
right,
you speak.
16. Yeah, I thought you was on 16. Yeah. So I was just looking at all the wicked kings, man. There was a lot of wicked kings there. That's weird, all these wicked kings of Israel, and I don't know why they were so bad, but they just were. Anybody? Well, that's my question. Do you know why they were bad? As far as, can we point to genealogy? Can we point to some type of factor that caused all these wicked kings? Of course, we had a lot of clues, I see, but I was just wondering why the kings were, so wicked.
My only thing
right,
that I can My only thing that I can respond into that is kind of like you said, we got some we can reference. Like, they keep bringing up Jeroboam, and then they'll bring up King David when they send the right king, right? So when O just brought out like how you think, like, I like to bring up basketball a lot. You think of like the Dr. J's, and you think of like the Isaiah Thomases, or you think of like anybody in the way back compared to the people now. Skill wise, I ain't talking about heart wise, because heart, I'm always gonna go with the old. The old heart is way tougher than the ones today. But skill wise, they got better. Athleticism wise, they got better as a whole. So like when Orek was bringing out, I think like you learn the ways of the old, right? But then you start to add additional things that you might put to it that makes it better or worse. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, it's kind of like if you introduce drinking to somebody that never drank, and then they sit up here and began to take on other drugs. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, they started off with this from an alcoholic who was an alcoholic, perhaps. I learned to drink from this alcoholic, and then I became that, but then I became worse by implementing more drugs, so to speak. I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say, but that's my only thing.
Oh, yeah, it does. I do like that, because the players, I like the NBA example, because the players today are, quote unquote, better than they were back in the day. When you look at players like LeBron James, you look at players like Kobe, and some of the newer ones. I definitely can see that as far as skill wise, they could do more. But the heart of it, like back in the day, the heart of it, because people make them arguments all the time, which is better, the new age or the old school, like AI, Allen Iverson, I don't think nobody had more heart than that dude.
Right.
That's
my favorite player of all time.
He had heart. But I definitely understand what you're saying. And then, because if you notice, I think it was Ahab or one of the kings, he did worse than all the other kings before him. So, it says that in Scripture. So obviously, if he did worse than all the ones, he learned from their behavior and he just kept on adding. But I definitely can see that.
Okay,
Well, I was trying to. I went back real quick, and I wanted to. Go ahead.
No, you did.
Go ahead. I was going back. I went back to see what Jeroboam did, or what was going. I know what he did, but I was looking for the verse where it kind of started. It was talking about the evil that was done, that he had done, and it kind of starts when he felt like the people was going to go back towards the feast, and they was going to be ripped away from him, and they was going to go back and follow, after the other king. So in 1232, it says, and Jeroboam performed a festival on the 15th day of the 8th new moon, like the festival that was in Judah. And he offered on a slaughtering place, so he did at Bethel, slaughtering to calf that he had made. And at Bethel he appointed priests of the high places which he made. He made offerings on the slaughtering place which he had made at Bethel on the 15th day of the 8th new moon, in a new moon which he had devised in his own heart. And he performed a festival for the children of Israel and offered on the slaughtering place and burned incense. Okay, so because of him thinking that these people was going to leave him, he started ordaining other feasts and stuff that he made up. Okay. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I gotta keep reading. I believe he started setting up priests. I believe he's the first one that started setting up high priests. They didn't have nothing to do with Levi. He started basically getting this whole system going that is not according to the Most High, and ordaining people whoever he wants to ordain. If I'm not mistaken, because I have to read it again, I believe he was the first one to do it, because he's not the only one to do it. I could probably skim through it real quick and make sure if I'm correct. I don't want to give anybody bad information. But anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'll bring it back up later. But this is where I know it keeps referencing him, and this is where he kind of messed up. I mean, he kind of ordained his own thing going on and kind of made it what's going on so that people didn't have to go to the place appointed to go. This is the whole thing. I mean, there's a place appointed to go to do the slaughterings, and he's like, nope, you ain't got to do it. We could do it right here. We're going to make this festival, and this is just like that, and I'm going to make these high priests and stuff like that, where they wasn't even there because he was afraid that they was going to go down there and their heart's going to be swayed from him. That was his fear. Okay? So now we say that's bad, but like Mercy just brought out, it gets worse because they keep saying, and he did worse than any other king before him, and he did worse than any other king before him. So this is the start of something. Like, it started with someone doing something and ordaining priests and, doing their own thing and kind of going off of the law a little bit. And then you go off the law a little bit, and then your next son go off the law a little bit more, and then the next one, you know what I'm saying? And then eventually you go into full-fledged idolatry. But also he caused Israel to sin. That's another thing that makes it even worse, because you're causing a whole nation to sin because you're causing them to break the laws according to something that you have said as king. Because a lot of times people are going to do what you do as king, and they're going to follow you as king. If you say, hey, we got a feast of going on, they trust you, and they will break it. How about, let's use it, let's modify it to today's age, in today's time. You are king of your household, and you go off and you say, let's do this idolatry. Basically, I'm just going to generalize it. Your whole household does it. You cause your household to sin. Because they figure, hey, he's head, he's the man of the house. Whatever he says has to be okay. He's been anointed king. He's got to be good. We can use that as the way people think of the pastors of the church. Sometimes the pastor of the church can't do any wrong. I mean, the Most High has anointed him or has used him to preach a good word, or I've heard the Most High, the words of the Most High come from his mouth. So at that point, he becomes like nothing he does is wrong. So if he says, let's go do Halloween and dress up, you would figure it's okay because that one time that the Most High spoke to him. But according to Scripture, just because he uses you for one thing or so doesn't mean that it's always like that. So I was just going back. And this is something that I know Yediyah will probably do. So the spirit of Yediyah is upon me with this going backwards to the Scripture. I'm being silly. Don't nobody talk about yet a guy got a spirit roaming around. Don't take me literal. All right. So that's my answer to that one. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I had to get yet a y'all spirit out from the sneeze. Back to myself because of my chapter coming up. Unless we got somebody in the queue.
No, but you could take the floor now.
Brother Mercy, if you hit one, Brother Mercy, if you get one, so get out the queue so we know if you're getting out of in. But I see you still in the queue right now. Boom, thank you. So I know whether or not you going in and out. All right. Sorry about that. And I had chapter 17. And I'm going to read one. And Elijah, the Tishbite of the inhabitants of Gilead, said to Ahab, as Yahweh, Elohim of Israel is, before whom I stand, there shall be no dew or rain these years, except at my word. Okay? Hold on 1 second. Give me 2 seconds.
Hold on 1 second. Give me 2 seconds.
I know, right? I felt like I had to sneeze again, but I haven't. Ain't nothing come out. Anyway, so that's how it starts out. You know what I'm saying? Here's Elijah. This is one of the prophets that everybody talks about. Not everybody, but it's one of these stories. It's telling you. I promise you, if you went into a church one time for a whole year, you will hear about Elijah. And this is where it started. I'm pretty sure you heard about Elijah and Elisha and all this other stuff later on. But here's the beginning of his story for those that have never read it or heard it. Okay? So this is what he says to Ahab, okay? And where am I at? Okay, 4. And it shall be that you drink from the stream, the Most High said this to Ahab. Drink from the stream, and I shall command the ravens to feed you there. All right? I pointed that out because this is it takes a lot of faith to go somewhere, leave somewhere, and go sit by a stream, drink from the stream, and the Most High tell you that some birds are going to bring you food. All right? It takes a lot of faith to just make that move, right? And then, so he did according to what was said. And then 6, and the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the stream. And that's the Most High completing what he said. Also, people want to get hung up on the fact that evening and morning, when it's stated in sometimes, that means you better get hung up on the fact. I'm not saying this is a proof thing, but if you get hung up on the fact that evening is named before morning in some aspects, get hung up on the fact that the morning is named before evening in this time. All right? And I'm going to keep going. In 9, he told them to rise up and go to Sepharvath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. See, I've commanded a widow there to sustain you. So he's listening to the words of the Most High on where to go. Okay? And he has to be very obedient because these things is like life, and death. Because you're talking about a drought. And he has to be sustained through this drought. No rain means no crops. All right? It's not just rain. Rain is everything to a farmer. Okay? And that's what they was. They farmers and stuff like that. All this stuff made a difference. Okay? What was that? 9, that was 9. So basically in 10, he actually followed the Most High commands. And when he saw the widow, he bring me a little water and a vessel to drink. And 11, and she was going to get it, he called her and said, please bring me a piece of bread. Okay? And she said, as Yahuwah your Elohim lives, I do not have bread, only a handful of flour in a bin and a little oil in a jar. And see, I am gathering a couple sticks and shall go in and prepare for myself and my son, and we shall eat it and die. Okay, she's at the point of death at this point. Like, y'all understand, she said, I'm going to make this last meal because I don't have that much. And it's over with for me and my child. All right, I'm going to keep reading. And Elijah said that, do not fear. Go and do as you have said, but make me a small cake from it first and bring it to me. And afterwards make some for yourself and your son. For thus says Yahweh Elohim of Israel, the bin of flour shall not be used up, nor the jar of oil shall run dry until the day Yahweh sends rain on the earth. Okay, so he's giving a word of the Most High saying that your flour will not diminish, and that oil you'll have some until the drought is ended, because of what she's about to do according to the words of the prophet, but out of obedience. And I'm going to keep reading. So she went and did according to what he said. Okay, basically, boom. And her household ate for many days. It's in 15. In 16, here it goes, the bin of flour was not used up, nor did the jar of oil run dry, according to the word of Yahweh, which he had spoken by Elijah. So basically, what he said came, according to the Most High, it came to pass. Okay? You can't say something according to the Most High that don't come to pass. You be a false prophet then. It said it wasn't going to happen, it wasn't going to be used up, it didn't get used up. All right? That's why I read those right there, 17. And after these events came to be, that the son of the woman who owned the house became sick, and his sickness was very severe until there was no breath left in him. Okay, they could have just said he died, but that's not the way they worded it. There's no breath left in him. No ruach was in him anymore. All right. I'm going to read her response to her son dying. And I'm going to say something also, okay? And she said to him, what have I to do with you, O man of Elohim? Have you come to me to bring my crookedness to be remembered and to kill my son? So she about blamed this on Elijah. Even though you ate for many days and your flour did not run out, you blame this on the man of the Most High. And he said to her, give me your son. She took him from his arms and took him to the upper room where he was dwelling and laid him on his own bed. And cried out to Yahweh and said, O Yahweh, my Elohim, have you also brought evil on the widow with whom I am sojourning to kill her son? So he asked the Most High a question. See, remember back in the day when they tell you don't question the Most High, don't ask him questions or something like that, where you never were supposed to ask any questions? Well, he asked a question right here. I don't know, maybe it's a difference in what they were saying, but as I grew up, they always just tell me don't ask the Most High any questions. But even right here, this is a prophet, a well-respected prophet in the Bible, as far as a lot of people would use his story in certain aspects, even in their churches. And he asks the Most High question, okay? And he stretched himself out on the child 3 times. And the numbers, and we always talk about the numbers. And cried out to Yahweh and said, O Elohim, O Yahweh, my Elohim, I pray let the life of this child come back to him. All right, and Yahweh heard the voice of Elijah, and the life of the child came back to him, and he lived. Elijah took the child and brought him down from the upper room into the house and gave him to his mother. And Elijah said, see, your son lives. And the woman said to Elijah, now by this I know you are the man of Elohim, and by the word of Yahweh in your mouth is true. Sometimes I guess even the first thing wasn't good enough. She said, now by this I know you, because you was able to ask and petition of the Most High to bring the life back. He wasn't able to do it himself, but it was by the petitioning to the Most High that it says that in 22, and Yahweh heard the voice of Elijah, and the life of the child came back to him, and he lived. So it was only by the power of the Most High, period, right? And this is the only thing, this is the thing that extra solidified her knowing that this is the man of the Most High. And that's all I got for my chapter.
Okay, well, I wanted to go ahead and I just wanted to bring out something that when you brought it into verse 21, it reminded me of something. Like we know that he didn't bring this on her, right? But that saying that say don't kill the messenger. This reminded me of that. Like, you know, say if he was bringing this word, which we see that consistently happen with the prophets. And we want to see that, I believe, in the next chapter as well. Either the next chapter or your next chapter. It speaks on, they say don't kill the messenger. So I can see why she's responding the way she is. It's like you don't want to say something to the person who's actually doing the sending of the message, but you're going to yell at the message. It's kind of if somebody come to repossess your car or something like that, who do you snap on? You snap on the person that repossessing it, and they was actually sent to do it. So it's funny. It's how you connect all this together. Another thing I want to point out, and I'm not sure if you said it already. I want to point out this is in the Old Testament, and somebody has been risen from the dead. From what I recall, I believe this is the first occurrence of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm right, this is the first occurrence of it.
I was gonna say that also, but that's as far as what I can remember. I don't remember anybody being brought back from the dead until now.
Right. So we don't hear about this. I didn't hear about this when I was in the modern understanding of scriptures assembly. I didn't pay attention to this. This wasn't brought out. We see a lot of mirroring happening too. I want to put that out there. Not sure if that's significant or not, but I just wanted to put that out there. It was something else that I wanted to say in regards to this, but I'll just be done with that. At that point, I don't have anything. So if Orek doesn't have anything else, is it anyone that's listening? If you have anything, press 1. Those listening online, if you have anything, call in 516-595-8238. If not, we're going to continue with the following chapter, which is chapter 18. It's actually moving kind of smooth, man, just being us two for right now. So it does make sense for it to move as smooth as it is, or as fast as it is. So can we continue? Are we good to go? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so I want to start off with verse 1. Chapter 18, verse 1. It says, it happened after many days. I'm reading from the Stone Edition. I'm actually going to pull up the blue Bible. Pull up the Bible Hub so I can see that version. I'm glad he pointed that out earlier for me. I normally would do that. Shame on me. But, okay, so this is kind of similar. So it says, it happened after many days. The word of Yahweh came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, go appear to Ahab, and I shall send rain upon the face of the land. What I wanted to point out in verse 1 is that we see that not always an answer or the Most High is talking to them every day, so to speak. And I want to relate this into seeking an answer from him too. It doesn't happen right then and there. It says many days. It doesn't say the amount of days, but it says many days. That can be anywhere between a couple to a few months to a couple of years. You never know. So when looking at this in the reality sense, it wasn't like, I pray something from the Most High, it's going to happen. Or Most High said something to me yesterday, and he said something to me the following day, and he said something to me 3 days ago too. So it was like every day he talked to me. No, it's not like that. And we have to remember that. And I think that's a reason of this belief that people, begin to have as well, because we're told that all you have to do is call on him and he's going to respond to you. And some people are impatient. Some people are impatient, and they're not even taught to have patience in regards to this, because they're not taught the true understanding of the God of this Bible according to this literature. This is the reality. It does not happen the same day all the time. Okay? So I want to go down to verse 3. Verse 3. And it says, just speaking on Elijah, appearance, went to talk to, or wanted to speak to Ahab. All right? It says, Ahab summoned Obadiah, who was in charge of the household. Obadiah feared God greatly, and it was when Jezebel had decimated the prophets of Yahweh. Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them, 50 men, to a cave, and sustained them with food and water. What's the point of me bringing this up? What's the point of me bringing this out about Obadiah? Men of Elohim, and when I say men, I'm speaking women and men, I believe protect the people of Elohim. Now, when I say that, it's like it sounds as though I'm, don't look at it as, okay, Israel, or okay, Christians, or okay, Jewish folks, or whatever. I'm talking about sincere people of Elohim, right? Hold on, Hakma. I see that Sister Hakma's there, so I got a feeling she's going to say press 1 or something when I say it. But I want to say, if we are not seeing that, or seeing that protection or doing that protection, we got to question those who claim to be men of Yahweh. One thing that I believe that pricks someone to do, like what he did, Obadiah did, like this, is the fact that he feared him greatly. Those of us that fear Elohim greatly will protect the people of Elohim, but we also be able to discern. So I can look at somebody like you did, Yah, or an Orek, or a sister, or a Achot Chakma, knowing we all have things we got to work on, okay? So this is not to say that, either one of us is perfect in this aspect, but I can look at them and see sincerity in their walk, right? So I'm not going to do the one thing I did in my chapter that I read about how they conspired against the king, or conspire. I'm not going to conspire against these 3 people I just mentioned. I'm going to have integrity with that. And also, I'm going to try my hardest, best of my ability, to protect them. And what do I think is the main point, or the main reasoning behind it? Is because I fear the Most High. I fear him, and I understand his word. So I just wanted to point that out. I saw that with Obadiah, and I thought that was interesting how that was within the same verse as well. That's how I look at things as well, too. So I want to jump down to verse 7. And it says, Obadiah was on the road, and behold, Eliyahu, or Elijah, was in front of him. He recognized him and fell on his face and said, "Is that you, my Lord, Eliyahu, or Elijah?" He said to him, "It is I. Go tell your Lord, Elijah is here." Obadiah said, "What is my sin, that you deliver your servant into Ahab's hand to put me to death?" Now, there's 2 things I want to point out with this, okay? We see a common respect to even those who weren't their Lord. So we see he already has a Lord, or Adon, someone that is like a master to him, or someone that is over him. But he also is calling Elijah Adon, or Lord. I believe because of the respect that he has for him as being a prophet to Elohim. So I thought that was interesting. It's a respect. The other day, one of the guys that calls in by the name of Udiel, and I'm sure he did it with Orex before. I'm not sure. I'm almost maybe so. I know for a fact what you did. Yeah, he would call us sometimes. I don't, which actually just means sir. It can mean Lord. It can mean master. But I don't. I see a respect here in the culture. We also see that when the prophets came, the initial thought is that the prophet was bearing news in regards to the recipient's sin. That's what I was speaking of in the last chapter. Because a prophet is only going to tell you to do something that the Most High told them to tell you, or going to let you know something that's going to come about on you. So he's looking at it like, oh, you're sending me here. What did I do? What was my sin for this? This is, that's the first thing they're thinking of when they're looking at these prophets. All right, so I wanted to point that out. So he reassures him in verse 15. Elijah said, as Yahweh, masters of legions before whom I have stood, lives, I swear that today I will appear to him. So he was saying, like, if he does not, you're going to send me here, and then you're going to disappear somewhere. And when that happens, he's going to kill me. So he made a promise. But what I want to do is point out in verse 15, even within that promise, that y'all pay attention to what he said. He said, as Yahweh, master of legions, before whom I have stood, lives, I swear that today I will appear to him. He said, before who I have stood. Now, most would say that no one can stand in front of the presence of the Most High, according to Scripture. That's what people would say, or you haven't seen him, or this and that. That's what I believe. So what would that mean? What do y'all have anything to say to that? Like, what exactly does he mean with this statement? I mean, I have an idea. I go off of more so the cultural understanding of standing before him, whom I have stood. What does that mean to you? So I would like for Orech to answer that question when his time comes, or anybody that's called in. I see Brother Mercy's in the queue, so hold that thought. Write that down. Write that down. And then I want to go to, matter of fact, you want to answer that question, and then you think I should bring Mercy in now and then continue? Because I got a little bit more. This chapter goes all the way to verse 40-something. So did y'all want to jump in now, or did y'all want to wait?
I can give a quick. I can't give a quick thing about the standing or whatever. Basically, how can I explain? It's not, of course, the literally standing in the presence of like he was at the throne, but more so of, let's say, when the Most High, I'm trying to explain this in the best way. All right, the fact that he's a prophet, let me just use it like this. The fact that he's a prophet, and the fact that the Most High is using him, the fact that he's been in the presence of, the fact that he's been, like, it's like in the presence of, like you ever, when we was in church, we would say, I've been in the presence of, the presence of the Most High was here, We understand that the Most High was, like, he's everywhere, but he was personally dealing with us with word or deed or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically standing in the presence of the Most High, because he was dealing with you on a personal level. He was telling you to go do something. He was, you know what I'm saying? He's everywhere, yes, but he took his time out to come personally talk to you and tell you to do something according to whatever. So in that instance, you stand in the presence of, and he could be, and that's also according to like his spirit, like if his spirit is with you. You know what I mean? Just the wording right there, is very key. It's a good catch. Like it says, for the Most High, which actually, my rendering saying, I stand.
I stand, so, right.
Yeah, so if I was to read it, I would say it's a constant thing. we have to see whether or not that's, my version is true or not. It might be wrong, but as I was reading this, it just says, in which I stand. And stand and stood is small, but it's big, if it makes sense. It's like a small change of words, but it makes a big difference sometimes. Because if I stand in the presence, that means I'm constant.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say stand is a constant and stood is a past tense. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, I could see where he stood in the presence, but I also could see where he stands in the presence because as of right now, he's about to do something according to what the Most High has instructed him to do. So, you know what I'm saying, the Most High is with him. Okay? That's another thing about, some of these terms, the Most High is with him. So that's how I kind of see it, as the Most High being with them, being in the presence of, you know what I'm saying, all the things that he's like, if you see like the Most High told him go here, the Most High told him go here, the Most High, you know what I'm saying, he was with him, he's been with him this whole time, having ravens feed him, having a widow feed him, him bringing, you know what I'm saying, the boy back to life. That's big, you know what I'm saying, like, people don't understand how big that is. That's a big thing right there, and that's letting you know the Most High was right there. And he was listening to you and everything, but that's my renderings, or my understanding. I could be wrong.
Before I bring Mercy in, what I wanted to do as I'm going through here, I believe that, do I have it with me right now? If I'm not mistaken, let me see. The stand. I think it's perfect. And if it is perfect, then the renderance of stood is okay as well, because that means it happened, or it happened. The imperfect would mean that it is, like you have said, continuing to happen. It's imperfect. It's not complete. So it's continuing thing. I continue to stand in front of them. So I think that's why they put stood, because of the fact of it being perfect versus imperfect. So I thought that's interesting. That's why I wanted to look at while you were speaking. I think it's perfect. But I'll double check. But anyway, I'll bring Brother Mercy in real quick, and then I'm going to continue. Brother Mercy, you're live.
What verse are you talking about, Shema, when you said he was in the presence of the Lord?
Verse 15.
Verse 16? Okay.
15.
15. Elijah said, as the Lord
before whom I
stand, I will certainly show myself to Ahab. Okay, I see now. I see where you're going with this. All right, now, see, another thing, we got to look at this in context, I think, because as you pointed out some things, and I'm going to tie it into everything you've been saying. First thing is first, I really believe the reason why it was many days is because we got to look at the climate Elijah is preaching at. He's not preaching to the choir. He's preaching to people who don't want to hear the word of the Lord. So, and they're killing the prophets. You know what I'm saying? So there's a reason why they're not hearing. It's not so much they're waiting to hear. These people are rebellious people. They don't want to hear. And anytime they're about to hear, they're going to get killed. So you see what I'm saying? It's not that the Lord is not sending his word. The people are rejecting it. So, and then Elijah's talking to people. You see throughout Elijah's life, he's talking to people that don't want to hear it. You know, he's talking to Ahab. And I wanted, and then I like how you brought out what the sin Obadiah talks about. Because Obadiah hid those prophets. Remember, Obadiah hid those prophets from Ahab. So he's like, why do you want me to go appear before King Ahab when you know I've hidden the prophets
King Ahab is going to kill me, and then you want me to tell King Ahab that you're here, that I met with you. You're the worst one. You're the one he really don't like. And you want me to go to him and tell him that I met you or that he's here. He's certainly going to kill me. So that's his fear. He's feared that King Ahab is going to kill him because, and then maybe King Ahab may find out he's going to hide those prophets too. And then, so with that, and then what the Obadiah said, he said, I know that the Spirit of the Lord will carry you and will hide you in a place where no one will find you. And while the Spirit of the Lord is hiding you, King Ahab is going to kill me. That's what Obadiah says. He says the Spirit of the Lord is going to hide you, and King Ahab is going to kill me. So as a result of all that, Elijah has to now, to me, I see this more like a swearing. To me, I see it like a swearing, okay. He says in verse 15, as the Lord of hosts lives. It's like a swearing. If you look at that language, you will find that in other scriptures. You say Elijah said, as the Lord of hosts armies lives, as surely as so it's a swearing, before whom I stand, I will certainly show myself to King Ahab today. So he's telling him, he said, now, if you go tell him I'm here, I'm going to show myself to King Ahab, so you won't look like a false prophet. Because if he tells him the king, he found King Ahab, and Elijah doesn't show himself, King Ahab is going to kill him. So I see Elijah here swearing, as surely as the Lord lives. You hear that language. So I see that as a swearing there. And then so Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. That's in verse 16. But all I wanted to say is sometimes I think when it's many days or when it takes time for the Lord of hosts to speak to us or for the Most High to speak to us, it's not so much that he's not trying to speak to us. I think it's either because we're persecuting the prophets or because, like in this time, they were killing off the prophets, and then Elijah has to come during the time when God's people do not want to hear the word of the Lord. So that's all I want to say about that.
All right, appreciate that, Brother Murphy. And I'm going to go ahead and continue now, if O doesn't have anything to say.
Now, your chapter's very long, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait to the end to kind of see what you break out and then, kind of either pick off or bring the points out that I got, because I think you have the longest chapter.
Okay. All right. Trying to see where I want to go from here. Okay, so we're going to read the verse 18. When you go to verse 18 through 21, we see that he came back, kind of. You're going to notice something, too, about Elijah, man. Like, he gave him a little smart remark back. He was, like, witty in his responses. Verse 17 says, and it was when Ahab saw Elijah. Ahab said to him, is it that you, the troubler of Israel? He said to him, not I have troubled Israel, rather you and your father's house. By your forsaking the commandments of Yahweh, and you have gone after the Baalim. And now send and gather all of Israel to me at Mount Carmel, and also the 450 prophets of the Baal and the 400 prophets of the Asherah tree who eat at Jezebel's table. So he did what he said. And at this point, you have people that are going back and forth between the Most High and other gods. So now he's going to challenge them at this point. Verses 22 through 24 is just speaking of, they're serving of the mighty ones at this point. And this is Israel. not thinking anything was or wrong with it. This is Israel. We see that today, you know. But I'm going to keep going, keep it in the context. So he tells them in 25, he tells them choose for yourself the one bull and prepare it. So they have a little bet going on. Let them know, like, this is what's going to prove whose Elohim is real. Whoever Elohim steps up and burns this, this is the one that is the real one. They agreed to it, back in verse 24, they agreed to that proposal. But at this time, verse 27, we see this is the first time, my first time seeing this, because I don't recall any other time where here we have a prophet making fun of his people, right? My question would be, but why? When you look at it, it seems as though he's doing it because he knows they should know better. They know who the Most High is. They choosing to replace him. We look at how, and hint sounds familiar for today, right? But we look at what took place on Mount Sinai. When Moshe went up, they made the calf, and they was trying to replace him. This is who brought us out of Egypt. And we just seen recently, I forgot what chapter it was, when we saw that they did it again, and they created two different mighty ones and said that this is who brought us out. So we see a consistency of how they operate, and I think Elijah saw that. And he said in verse 27, and it was at noontime, Elijah ridiculed them and said, cry out in a loud voice, for he is a God. Perhaps he is conversing or pursuing enemies or revealing himself. Perhaps he is asleep and he will awaken. So, he making fun of them because they should know better. Not to say that's what we should do, but, these prophets is dealing with super rebellious people who actually seen it. I'm not saying that people at this particular time saw it personally because they wasn't around in the times of when he brought them out of Egypt, but just for the simple fact that they were so close in connection around this time when it took place, they should know better. And they saw some of the works of the Most High at this point too. So going down to verse 28. And the crazy thing about it is I saw a video today, not today, a little while ago, and I brought this up in the show, what I'm about to read right now. Verse 28, it says, they called out with a loud voice, so they did what he said, and cut themselves with swords and spears according to their custom. It goes against the instruction of the Torah, right? I know that was a little different within the commandment of what the cutting, what he was attaching the cutting to, but this is a custom that they did. Israel did. They took on the customs of other nations, and they knew who the Most High was. Does that sound familiar today? Yes, because I talked to many pastors and preachers that know about taking on the customs. We took these customs of other people. This is how we get people on board, right? Until blood spurted on them. When the noon hour passed, they prophesied until the time of the afternoon offering. But there was neither sound, nor response, nor listening. All right, so going all the way down, I'm not going to read all the way through it, 36 and 39. We see that he was going through his I say, lack of a better word, ritual, to pay homage to the Most High. And verse 38 says, a fire of Yahuwah descended and consumed the elevation offering, and the wood and the stones and the earth, and it licked up the water in the trench. The entire people saw and fell on their faces and exclaimed, Yahuwah, he is the Elohim. Yahuwah, He is the Elohim. So it took for them to see something, which they already knew. So I really don't have too much more in this chapter, to be honest with you. I saw something in the end of 43 going into 44, which I thought was interesting. 43 says, he said to his attendant, "Go up now and gaze westward." He went up and gazed, and he said, "There is nothing at all." Elijah said 7 times, "Go back." It was at the 7th time, and he said, "Behold, a cloud, as small as a man's hand, is coming up from the west." I looked at this as an example. And I know you, Old speaks on the number 7 a lot, the different numbers that we see that repeats itself throughout the scriptures. But I still looked at this as an example that the first time that if you're trying to accomplish something, it's not always going to happen at that very first time, And we see this man went 7 times, and it was that 7th time, that persistence, that dedication, is what really, and obedience is what allowed this to happen. Sometimes the author of something or someone that's over you want to see how serious you are about it if you want to do the steps required, and that's what took place right here. And I just thought this was a good example of that. And that's all I got for my chapter. I'm done.
That was pretty good, man. A lot of stuff was in it. I could work my way backwards, but I want to talk about. I kind of got to because I want to talk about the last thing he said. And yes, I was gonna bring out the 7th time and stuff like that. So he did jump all of my points. So I'm gonna kind of start there since it's fresh. Yes, the persistence of going to ask a bunch of times, but yes, again, the 7 again that we see, and I just pointed out 3, and I don't know if anybody been following us about them 3s and them 7s, and always something, them 3s and them 7s, but yes, he had to hold on to what the Most High had told him in the beginning. I mean, all this stuff has been happening, and the Most High has been confirming even with him that he's with him. He's been showing him the signs, and people have been brought back to life by his words, by him laying across the boy 3 times, but he was brought back to life. And the little bit of dough didn't run out. The ravens had fed him. The ascending offering come down. All those things that happened, and he told him in the beginning. He said, "It won't be raining until you say," to the word, till you say, it's coming, right? So now he's like, okay, all that other stuff, so you got to continue to have faith. He didn't see all this other stuff happen. I mean, this ain't the time to not have faith. Okay. Another thing is that the cloud came out as small as a man's hand. I mean, that's a very small cloud, according to what clouds really, how big they are, and out of the sea at that. So that was just some good stuff right there. Just don't give up, and everything doesn't happen the first time you ask. Not saying you have to keep continuing to ask over and over and over and over, but at the same time, he knew what the Most High had told him also. So he's basically going off of the word of the Most High, saying, hey, look, rain going to come when you ask it. And same thing with the boy, you know what I'm saying? He asked the question, he did it a couple times, and boom, it happened. So he does kind of have something to draw off of. And for us, we might not have we might not have as much to draw off of in our lifetime. We might not have these examples that we have. But if you're a believer in the book, draw off of the examples in the book. Period. Know the book, understand it, and it'll gain your faith in where you're trying to go. You can start remembering some of these instances about Elijah, about David, about these certain people, whatever patriarch you want to believe, Isaac, Abraham, Jacob. I mean, all these people and all these things that we've been going through. And, I mean, you can go back to Noah. You can go back to all these people, and they had to wait out and be persistent on some things that the words of the Most High had told them. I think for Noah, it was 100 years that he was sitting there preaching. And before the rain came, 100 years, at certain points, you got to be like, man, this dude is crazy. He's been talking about this forever. Abraham, it took, I believe 14 years before. I might be wrong, but I think I'm in the area. 14 years before his son was actually born, from the time that he told him that he would have a son. So, the man was already old at the time. So, sometimes it doesn't happen right away. And this is the word of the Most High that has come to them. Like I said, if you don't have that stuff to draw off of, then you have to, just go back to some of these examples and remember your persistence and remember what you're trying to do, and if you are lined up with the Most High, you are actually, trying to do according to what the Most High wants you to do, then, you got to have faith that he will, come through for you just as well as anybody else. This, that, and the other. And we got to stop looking at what we feel the Most High has done for someone else or what he might be doing for the wicked and this, that, and the other also. We shouldn't even concern ourselves with that. That's just a little side note, just a caveat. But let me get into some of these points without further ado, because he hit on a lot of them, so I don't have to repeat them. All right, yeah, I'm just going to, but I will kind of reiterate about Obadiah fearing the Most High exceedingly. I thought that was a great thing. But I'm not going to touch into it too much. I just wanted to point that out. Go down. All right, I want to read 8 through 12. Just again, it was kind of amazing to me. It says, he answered that it is I. Go say to your master Elijah here. And he said, what have I seen that you have given your servant to the Ahab to kill me? Just like he said, it's like, hold on, man. What did I do wrong? Okay, that you are trying to set me up. Because basically you're going to say, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to tell him, and as soon as I tell him the Spirit of the Most High going to take you away, he'll be gone. All right? Just I wanted to see I noticed how it says, the Spirit of Yahweh is going to come take you away. The Spirit of the Most High took him away before, but he didn't take him away, like literally take him away. He told him to go somewhere. So that would be the same instance. It's the same way of speech. It would be the same. It wasn't that the Spirit just came, swooped him, and he disappeared. All right? When I point this stuff out, I want people to understand the verbiage of how we speak. Because if I start to speak like this, I don't want somebody to feel like I'm talking crazy. Say the Spirit of the Most High took me to the other side of town. Basically, the Spirit of the Most High led me or, influenced me to go over here to do certain things. Didn't take me. I had to probably drive over there myself. All right? Boom, boom, boom. 15, he gave his assurance that he's going to be there. The thing in the 17, I'm telling you, Shema was all in my points, but he says he picked out a different thing, which is great, so I can still kind of talk about it a little bit. But in 17, they say, and Ahab saw Elijah, and Ahab said to him, is this in my version it say disruptor, but it's the same thing, disruptor of Israel. To me, you see how he is being blamed for the drought. Well, this is what I thought, because they had a drought right now, and he the one told him it would be a drought. So when he saw him, he said, "Oh, this the person that we're going through all this for." He said, "Hold on, bro." Okay, I'm paraphrasing. Ain't no "hold on, bro" in my Bible, but hold on, bro. Your house is the reason why we got this. You see how people want to blame other people for the reason why their house or the whole Israel is under this state. You know what I'm saying? He's saying, hey, this is the person that started all this crap. Like, nah, man, I ain't starting none of this. Your sins and your sins of your father's house is the reason why all this stuff is on here, on Israel. All right? I'm just showing you the mind of people. He knew he'd been doing evil in the sight of the eyes of the Most High. They know the rules. They know the laws. They know what's going on. But yet and still, you still blame another man for the reason why, because he came and brought you the word of the Most High. This goes back to what Shema was saying about the killing of the messenger. The messenger gets the blame of all the stuff that the message comes to, if it's bad. So if you go to tell somebody something bad, even if it ain't come from you, I don't care if it came from corporate at your job or something, you come down and tell somebody fired, for the rest of their life, they probably going to think, Shema fired me. When Shema didn't fire you, you know, first off, you probably fired yourself because you didn't come to work or whatever you didn't do, but he was just holding the message. Most of the time, the biggest boss to the one that passes the judgment is not the one that gives the judgment. Catch that. He passed the judgment, but he's usually not the one that tells the judgment or does the judgment. All right? It's a big thing. All bigger bosses, a hierarchy, uses smaller vessels. All right? Just remember that. But yet and still, you know who it came from. And we kind of reiterate that. We always use that. I'm always using that to show, you know, this is kind of how things kind of work and have been working thus far. But don't attribute it to the wrong source, ever. Well, I keep on going. That was 17. And then I'm going to skip down. Let's skip down. Like he said, Elijah was taunting him. So basically, this was the test, man. This is a big test for them. And yeah, he got the taunting. You're talking about 850 prophets of different beliefs. I mean, of a different belief. And this is where he's going to prove who the Most High is. I thought this was the most amazing story ever. You know what I'm saying? It almost encouraged me to jump and right into the church and, you know what? You do this and I'll do this and we'll see what happens. Man, almost. But then sometimes I'll be like, man, forget it. We'll see what happens in the future. This is an encouraging story for us. But one thing that I was saying, I say to my brothers, I don't know if I said it on the last verse show, but I said it to my brothers before. I said, before we able to set up any type of, what is it called, judicial system or any type of thing, the Most High is going to have to show himself with something that we are the people. He's with a group of people, because right now, we don't have none of that. We don't have anybody that we could possibly look upon and say, well, we know for certain. And the problem is that we see a couple of examples or whatever. We see a couple of examples maybe in the Sunday church. And that's usually what happens why people drive to that. And that's usually why people kind of stick to that, because they might have seen a miracle, you know what I'm saying, happen. And it kind of draws them to say that this has to be the right way. For real. And then usually with this, and the reason why I'm kind of going off to several more of the details, because since he hit a lot of the points, I can kind of delve deeper into the deeper meaning of some of this stuff to myself. And what I want people to maybe possibly see where I'm going with this and how my mind thinks, because he's hit a lot of the points. And I just can glorify it or boost it up. But a lot of times us in the truth, we like, well, we know this is the truth. We've been reading the Bible. We got the laws and stuff like that. Okay, we should be able to perform even more miracles than some of these people in Sunday churches. See, and what we do is we look at the Sunday church and we say, hey, look, man, we know y'all wrong, so that can't be God. And that's got to be something else. And everything that y'all doing is fake. So we attribute all that to fakeness, you know what I'm saying? The speaking in tongues, the dancing, all whatever they want to do. We attribute to foolishness. We laugh at them and everything else. But all of it isn't fake. Some people might be faking, but everybody's not faking, and all of it's not fake. So we have to start taking a step back. Stop worried about what they got wrong, and maybe start focusing on what part they got right. Maybe the fact of the matter is the fact that we don't see some of this stuff and we're not able to stand up like Elijah and be able to, because our connection to the Most High isn't like Elijah's was. And all they care about in the Sunday churches, and a lot of the Sunday churches, is not about what the word says. It's about loving God and this, that, and the other. So I'm not telling you that their miracles is true, but I've seen some miracles, so I don't know where it came from, whatever you want to say. I've had some things happen in my life. When I was in a Sunday church, I don't care what you want to say. I'm talking about I've seen some healing in my life, and I was in Sunday church. But look where I'm at now. So it wasn't about the situation of where I was at. It's about the person. It's about my heart for him, because my heart was to do whatever he wanted me to do. And when I came across doing the right thing, which is the laws, my heart was like, okay. So I'm still where I am today, and I still have the same miracles to draw off of, but where they started. I got a whole bunch of memories that started in Sunday churches on some of these things, but it was for me. It wasn't for the masses. And I'm still where I am today. And that's following laws. And I would never say that stuff was fake, because I literally seen lumps go away in my foot that people told me I need to go see the doctor about. Okay, so back to what I'm saying, he has this example, all right? And we have to, as people, start getting a better connection so we can have some of these, so he could follow us just like this. And it's not got none. It's got something to do with following the law, but also got something to do with, man, you know what I'm saying, your personal time you spend with the Most High. And that's where I'm going to stand until I see otherwise. We got to have some more personal connection. You know what I'm saying? Because when he say he stood with the Most High, you know, it's just something big, all right? The Most High used him and was with him. And for us, like Shema said, it's got to be some examples. Maybe it ain't time, and I could deal with that. But when it comes time, it's everything just like everybody else, like Moses. He had to go. He had to have some signs and wonders with him. I mean, because ain't nobody going to just believe you and me and any of us. I don't care how much Bible you spit at these folks. Too much confusion out there right now. And there's too many other priests in high places saying different. And things is going on. So keep on going. I'm not going to take too much time. All right. So, yeah, he did that. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to look at my paper. And he did mention 36 to 40. Then that's where I was at. He did his thing. I'm going to see if there was anything that he missed. Oh, he ain't missed nothing, but he didn't say this. Because, you know, this is something that Shema, you know, I talk about more than Shema might talk about. Now, I want to look this up. In 39, and he said, and he read 39 and said, he is Elohim. He is Elohim. 40. And Elijah said to them, seize the prophets of Baal. Do not let one of them escape, so seize them. And Elijah brought them down to Wadi Zion and slew them there. Okay? Do you see that? Maybe I was just on the person that saw this. But first off, I saw that here go a prophet, and after it was proved of the prophecy, or proved that he was the Most High, he said, now knock all these prophets off. There's 850 of them. All right? And they went and killed them prophets. And he slew them there. So I want to go back to a law that people be tripping about and saying, oh, this is contradictory. Thou shalt not kill. So this, for those that might not understand, we talked about this a long time ago, but everybody went with us. Thou shalt not kill without cause. that's the better. I think that's how we wrapped it up. Because the Most High lets you know, hey, knock down these things, knock down, and he was not attributed as doing wrong for killing someone. It was only don't kill without cause. And also, according to the law, certain people had to be killed if they disobeyed things of the Most High. So when it comes down to for the Most High, you killing because of the idolatry that's in the land, and I'm telling you, go kill people in your household because you're not in the land. You're not under the government system. You're not under the laws. You will go to jail killing someone right now for the Most High. I promise you, you're going to jail. They're going to try to throw you up under the jail. Your execution sentence will be the quickest that they ever had because you're not in a place that respects that law, right? But I'm going back to the biblical time and where they're at, Israel, and the time of this, that, and the other. The Most High allows you to do his bidding. But see, it's not, if you notice, he knocked off all these prophets of Baal and all these prophets of Asherah, 850 of them. They knocked them off. They understood who was the Most High. Now they're trying to purge the land of the idolatry. Okay? Notice that a big lightning bolt didn't come down and kill everybody. It could have. So my point is, you might have to get your hands dirty. And it was no slack thing. If I remember, Samuel was like, what is this going on over here? Why are these dudes still alive? If I'm not mixing in a TV show with the Bible, because sometimes, your memories mix in. I think Samuel went and killed the king because of it. Like, man, this dude was supposed to be dead. All right? All right, that's what I saw there. And 43. And 43 says, oh, that was the 7 times. So, yeah, like I said, I worked myself backwards. All right, and another thing it says, but he told, and Elijah said to Ahab, go up and eat and drink because the sound of the noise of rain. And Ahab went up to eat and drink, and Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he bowed down to the ground and put his face between his knees. This is just another form of worship. To me, you know what I'm saying? That's bow down. He went up there and he worshiped. Oh, that's all I got, man. I'm not gonna drown it out any longer. Because we got one more. My next one is a little shorter than that one, but I had some deeper meanings to a lot of my points that I had. So that's all. If nobody's in the queue, I didn't even look. We can proceed. Oh, Brother Mercy's in the queue. So I'm going to let Brother Mercy in if you don't mind, Shema. If you don't have anything, then we can proceed. Before I let him in, I want to say that the call-in number is 516-595-8238. We'll be going a little bit over into the overtime portion. Call in. If you don't want to be heard, y'all know the other methods that we have as far as you can find us on His Talk Wants to Talk Facebook group, or you can hit us up. Orekdin, OREKHDIYN is my Facebook page. Shema Talmido, SHAMATALMIDO. If you want to just shoot a quick question that you want us to say on the air, and we can do that also. But we'll probably go a couple minutes. We might not go to 2 o'clock. I mean, I'm pretty sure because we got one more chapter read, and that's it. And it's only 21 verses in my chapter. So it'll just be a little bit over. But Shema, if you don't have anything, I was going to let Brother Mercy in.
No, I just wanted to say that my Facebook isn't Shema Talmido anymore. The Talmido, as y'all know, as we have showed you, it means his student or wise student in Hebrew. It's Talmido, but I just went off my name is Shema Ben Yael on Facebook.
Oh.
My email is still shamontalmido@yahoo.com. So I don't know if you was telling them that
My bad.
information, or if you was. No, you good. I don't know if you was telling them the information to contact us or not. I kind of came back at the end of what you were saying, but my Facebook is just Shema Ben Ben Yah, like Yah, and then L-E-L. Shema Ben Yael. That's it.
Oh, it was more so if they didn't want to call in and they wanted to get a question through. I think if we had to contact you to ask you a question through our, Messenger or something, and we can repeat it on the show. They don't have to necessarily say anything because we're coming on the overtime portion of the show. But that's all.
All right.
And now I know you changed your name. I need to pay more attention to detail. All right.
I'll revert it back to my name. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. Anyway, Brother Mercy, I'm going to let you in. You're live as soon as it says you are. Wait a minute. There we go. Now you're live.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting how the 400 prophets.
Brother Mercy, am I the only person that don't hear him?
No, I don't hear anything.
Okay, Brother Mercy, if you can hear, I don't know what to tell you to do. We can't hear you right now. So I don't want you to continue talking and then you pop in and you're laughing because we didn't hear nothing. And we be confused. So, there you go. He left. He'll probably call back. That's good. I'm going to let Sister Hoffman in. And then when Brother Mercy calls back, we'll let him in. Sister Hoffman, you're live.
I just had a quick question. Brother Mercy made it come back to my remembrance when I was listening to you guys talk about the prophets. It just wowed me that it was that many prophets. And so, today a lot of people say there's not that many prophets in the world today, but it's like it was a lot there. So what makes us think that there's no prophets today? A lot of us say, it might be one or two true prophets. So my question is, to you guys, do you think we have that many prophets today?
All right.
I think that you allow me. I think that we do. I think that it's always a remnant in every generation, which the word says as well. Just like Elijah thought that he was the only one, and he said he had 7,000 out there. His response, I don't know if we passed that point yet. I'm sorry if I said it and gave it away. I don't know if it's in your chapter or if it was in mine. But yeah, they're out there. It's a remnant. Who are they? I guess that would be a question. Are we one of them? I don't know. I'm not saying we as in me, I'm just saying I don't know, but I do know the word speaks on a remnant all the time in every generation. And it didn't say prophet, but it says a remnant. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, yes, it was a lot of prophets back then. And like you said, it was he hid 100, 50 in each cave, but that's the ones he was able to hide. Some of them died. A lot of them died. So we talked about over 100 something, okay? And Obadiah was a prophet. And, you know what I'm saying, what's it called that had left? Elijah had left. Elijah had left. So anybody telling you it wasn't that many prophets because they only reading, how many prophets they got in the book as far as who had a book, that shows you that they don't read. But as far as going forward in today's age, yes, I always feel like it's going to always be just like they had the prophets that are able to speak and do whatever. Now, here is the kicker for me. and I'm going to pull out a little bit more in my next chapter, but I don't feel like we are like the prophets back then. I feel like we are trying, he's trying to reestablish some things, and he's setting some things up. But I don't feel like we're like them. I feel like we have a lot of people that want to be like those prophets that they read in the Bible. And the ones that you probably see out doing the most, proclaiming to be prophets and stuff like that, they're probably not. It's usually the ones quiet, reserved, don't really want to do anything. Those are usually the prophets. The ones like, what's his name? Jonah. I don't want to go over there and say nothing. But those are the ones the Most High is speaking to. Most High is speaking and showing things to them more so than anybody else. You're like, wow, I kind of knew that. And it kind of works with, sometimes he kind of starts, he has to train you up and grow you up because we don't have the same foundation as back then. It's just, the foundation they had back then is they might sit up under a prophet and learn some things. So now we are in such a disarray, no high priest, no temple, none of that. We don't have none of the structure we used to have, and now we're trying to set this thing back up. We don't have anybody to sit up under. We have to kind of let the Most High work with us. And how he does that, I'm not going to say my personal opinion because we don't have too many people sitting. He starts to work with the individual. And what I mean by that is he'll start to let you know things. He'll start to groom you and let you know that he's working with you. And it won't be from a prophet telling you this. It'll be from him working with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like him use the example of Elijah. Okay, go in here and the ravens will feed you and go do this. And Elijah's seeing this thing confirmed. Not saying he didn't know he was a prophet, but I'm saying Elijah started to see these things confirmed between the Most High, the word of the Most High becoming true from the personal things that he told him. Then he told him, go out there and go talk to this person. So I think that's how in my personal opinion, I feel like we're coming into a time, and I've said this plenty of times, we're coming into a time when the Most High about to start setting up different people into different sections. And he's going to start, working with people, and he's working with people to put them in different positions, point blank period, whether or not you be a teacher of certain things, whether or not you be a prophet, or whatever the case may be. And do I feel like they're out there? Yes, plenty of them. Do I feel like they're working 100% in the ways that they should or could? No, because of the confusion. Okay, this is why I say that, because of the confusion. And, sometimes you get discouraged. Sometimes you can feel like the Most High gave you to put a word out. And you put a word out, there could be some real prophets out here on Facebook putting words out and nobody's listening. And it gets that person to say, like, man, nobody listens to me anyway. Why do I keep putting these words out? Why do I keep trying to lead these people? Well, I'm going to use Shema as an example. So Shema is like the heart of the matter. Shema will preach hard about the heart of the matter. He'll have a long post about how the heart needs to be changed. So he could have literally been used by the Most High in that aspect. He could have been a mouthpiece for the Most High in that aspect. But how many people like that post? 3. Nobody shares it. But if he turns around and says something or puts something out about World Star or whatever, then everybody wants to listen to that. Everybody will share that. You know what I'm saying? It's just the state that we're in. But that doesn't mean that he's not a prophet or whatever, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I believe it's just as many, but I believe the ones that's trying to take the forefront are not. The ones that are proclaiming it from the Sunday church aspect are not. Most of them are not. And the ones that are like truly hitting at this point. And it'll be a time where you or the true people or the true prophets of the Most High will have to stand up against the false prophets of the Most High. And there have to be a sign that kind of shows and make these people bow down and to what's the right way of doing this thing. And that might be according to, we might be saying, hey, we need to do the laws. And they're like, no, we don't. Or y'all need to let go of the idolatry of pagan worship. And they're like, no, we don't. And then it's a big standoff or something. Who knows? But that's my answer. Maybe Butch Call might be on the line. So if that's my answer to you, Sister Hartman.
Okay, so that's a fine answer. So when I think of remnant, I do think of a very small number, and I do know that the world is big in number. So 400 prophets to me seems like a lot. Doesn't seem like a remnant to be hearing from the Most High and spreading words. But I do want to address. Orek said that Shema makes a post about the heart of the matter and whatever the post may be. I'll just say for myself, if a post is extremely long, nope, I'm not reading it. I do believe the Yah is he's direct, he's short, and he's straightforward. I don't have to read a 2-page letter from the Most High from a word. So that's just me personally. Have I got a word from the Most High before? Yes, and like I said, it's straight and it's direct. So sometimes people like to intermine their own thoughts into things and their own opinions, and then yes, you be like, is this you, Abba? Because you don't know. So that's just that. But then Orek was talking about miracles that he has witnessed in the church, and God looks at the heart, and that's just a touchy thing for me when you Shema probably laughing over there when I speak about the heart, because people generally, I say, do say they have the heart for the Most High, and they still want to please the Most High, but then when they hear about these things that they can't do, what they shouldn't do, it's not that they don't love the Father or their heart has changed any. They just like, hey, this is what I want to do, but it doesn't change their love for God no less. So I don't know. I just get kind of, because I came from the Sunday church, and have I seen a few miracles? Have I seen demons being released from people? I've seen that, but I don't know. I still question who was doing it. So that's just me personally, because if we're saying that the Father is not with people who's not being obedient of the word, then who are they? So that's just my little tidbit on that, what Orek said, and that's about it.
All right. I'm going to address.
I want to respond to. I want to say something real quick, man.
Wait one
minute. I want to say something real quick before I forget. I've been quiet listening to both of y'all. So let me just say something real quick. I think there's many variables to what she said and to when any of us said. I don't think that the Most High is always straight and direct. I don't believe that. I believe he is sometimes. I believe he isn't sometimes. Depends on the person that he's bringing it to. Some people operate differently and respond to things different. Like she said, she don't like a long post. She needs something straight and direct. So the Most High is going to give her. But hold on, before I continue, everybody. It's about the show is going to go longer than this. 516-595-8238. The show is going to go over a little bit, so I'm trying to catch it because there's 90 seconds left. 516-595-8238. Call in if you're listening online. Okay, real quick. I agree with what she's saying from a standpoint of, yes, he is direct, but I want to add that I don't believe that it's always the case. We see that through many instances in here, and I believe reason being is because each individual person receives information differently. Some people like to read. Some people don't like to read. It's not to say someone's better, but she likes something that's direct, boom, so the Most High is going to give us something direct. Or sometimes he might send us somebody that expounds a little bit on that information. But I know others that wants you to explain very thoroughly and actually reads a lot. So it just depends. He's not one of y'all said it, or something I've heard it before. He's not. We put him in a box as though he's just this and that's it. He's not. I can't agree with that statement just from the standpoint of I see so many examples of both of those. You know what I'm saying? And then the last thing I would say, well, I ain't gonna say nothing about that. I just want to respond on that, and I'm done.
Okay. What I will say is, we can't question this. At this point, regardless, we can't question what we see or like as far as whether or not the miracle come from the Most High. We don't know if it does or not. So, according to what I know in my life, I can only speak for myself. When I was in Sunday church, I wanted to know the truth. I studied for myself, and when I found out what the truth was, it was nothing that you can tell me. I would go to the pastors and the preachers at that time, the leaders of my church, and ask them questions according to what the law was saying. And I removed myself, or the Most High removed me, but I had to take steps where I can't do this anymore because of what I know to be true. And this was between my relationship with the Most High. I can't really speak for everybody, but I know if I'm one in the church that he dealt with like that on a personal note, that he was doing it for certain other people. Because everybody on this phone has been in a position of sitting up under something, and it really wasn't right. It was more tradition. It was more religion. It was more of a denomination than anything else. And then we start coming into the truth about the laws and what they do. Like Brother Mercy said, the laws set you free. That wasn't. I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm not 100% because I can't remember if Mercy ever told me he came from some other belief. But as Mercy being online and everybody that I've talked to, we all started out somewhere else. But if your heart was not for him, you wouldn't be where you at now as far as wanting to follow the law, because it's what's right and it's what the Most High says. So the things that you might have witnessed might not have been for the other person. It might have been for you because you was able to witness them. And now nobody could tell you that the Most High isn't this or that. And a lot of times we attribute it to, the whole mass of the church. Like I said, I've seen healing, so now can't nobody tell me healing isn't real. All right? But then I read it in the book. I can read it in the book. I read where the Most High heals. I've seen it. But do I attribute it to their righteousness? No. I attribute it to because sometimes we need to see it. It builds our faith. And where I was going to be. See, the Most High will heal someone so you can see it, so your faith can be built, because you're going to be a true servant. It ain't got nothing to do with them. Because their wickedness or their rebelliousness will bring them right back into another sickness. It'll bring them right back into poverty because they don't follow the law. Their temporary solution for them was a big thing to someone like you, or maybe the 2 or 3 people sitting in your congregation, in the congregation you were sitting in. It comes out and still like, well, you know what? I know this to be true. All right? Because it wasn't no faking in this person or that person. Yeah, so sometimes we can't attribute it, just like we see in the scriptures. It said that, I raised you from the dust to do this, but you was doing wrong. So basically, the Most High used this unrighteous dude to knock off someone else. But they're the reason they still did wrong, so they got knocked off also. So what was the word of the Most High? The word of the Most High came through a prophet, and it was used not by a righteous man to complete the thing. It was used by someone that was unrighteous to knock off the whole family line, and then he was eventually knocked off. But it was the word of the Most High came from the prophet, and sometimes people was anointed, like we said last week. It's been an evil Mashiach anointed to do what the Most High has him to do, but the main purpose is for the whole. And I don't know if that's making any sense, but yet and still, what I'm saying is everybody on this line has come out of the modern day, don't do any laws Christianity. And that lets you know he deals with you as an individual. And everything that you seen or went through was a step towards to get you where you're at today. And if he had to take those steps while you was in a congregation to see certain things, he would have done it to get you where you need to be today. Because how many more people might you be able to reach, or you will be able to reach at the position that you're at when you go to work and you follow the laws and they know you don't deal with that type of stuff. So it ain't sometimes for the masses. Sometimes it's for you. Okay? And that's my answer to that one.
I want to say something too, man. I want to clear up what I said too, so everybody understand what I mean when I say that that the Most High, I don't believe He's direct all the time. Yes, He's directing what He wants us to do. I want to make that clear. I was responding as far as lengthiness in message, because this book is long, and it's a lot of different doctrines due to this one long book. If we gonna keep it simple, let's keep the commandments. That's it. Whole duty of man is love God, fear God, and keep the commandments. That's the most direct you could be. But there's so many things attached to it. I guess depending on the question, I can agree on what she's saying completely. Like, say if man, should I leave? Should I not be with this person? He gave you signs, you ignoring it, so that could be direct. I just want to clear that up. So if that's the way it's being said, then I agree with that. But as far as like answers and questions you might have concerning this word and things like that, it's lengthy. It's lengthy. All these things is lengthy. Like we so in this. Of course, it's not to my sister, but I feel like, and I said this plenty of times before this conversation, it's a lot of variables to a lot of these things. Like, like one of the questions she asked about, okay, what about the heart? It's so many variables. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing just black and white. And I say that so much to so many people. It's nothing. It's no. I don't believe it's. Well, I'm nobody when I say this, so I'm just saying my observance. I don't believe there's anything, no such thing as black and white with big things like this. It's like black and white. I think it's a lot of variables within the things. And last thing I'm going to say is I want to do a testimony on it. Last week I had a couple of people in my house, and, one of the ways that when I'm talking to someone and if I'm trying to explain, and Ulrich and y'all had this issue on Facebook a while ago, to where, we might ask something to kind of get an understanding of where you at, kind of see if the stuff that we looked into is valid, or can I grab from what you have, or, you ask questions, but some people want, like this one dude, he said, just tell me. I'm like, well, I can't just tell you. I have to see, even Most High. What did he say to Abraham? Now I know. He had to see. He had to test him. He had to do different things to make sure, so nothing is just boom, direct, because he could have been very direct with Abraham. You know what I'm saying, in that instance. So I think it depends on the scenario. It depends on the event, the situation. Many variables. That's all I want to say with that. So I want to clear up what I meant. So, yes, he is direct, people that's listening, not the ones that's on the line right now, because I know they know me. But I think it's many variables, and it just depends. It could be lengthy, too. Make you wait years.
Okay, I can give my personal thought. Me personally, I do feel like that the Most High kind of gets to the point a lot. This is from a personal aspect, and the reason why I say this is you know what actually it is. Let me take this back. If you was to use words, it wouldn't even be as long as when you writing on Facebook. Facebook starts to become very long because just for me, just what I just said from when I jumped in to now, it's 2 pages. So I think if we started to get more personable, if you had a word for the Most High, my personal advice would be make a video, make a voice recording, because somebody's very much willing to listen to 1 minute than read something, you know what I'm saying, that they will feel to be drawn out. And that's on my personal thing.
But even your talking could be lengthy, though. But even your talking could be lengthy, though.
I mean, it could be, but you got to get to if you loop around. I mean, to be honest with you, I have to really to be honest with you, I would. All right, I'm finna just go ahead, take the gloves off, okay? anytime I've even stated a word from the Most High, because I've had words that actually came from the Most High, and it was like a word to mouth like thing. To what I heard, I spoke. It ain't no playing games. Okay, a king does not have to repeat himself. A king does not repeat himself too many times. Like, he repeat himself, but he doesn't have to be. He doesn't. How do I explain it? He will say something, and every time he says something, that what he might repeat is who he is, but he repeat it in a different aspect. I am the Most High. Blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Did he say what he want? And then that's that. And it's like, and then he would end it off with who he is. He doesn't tell me instructions to do something 5 times. So he can give you details. He'll give you the instructions. He'll give you details, but he doesn't have to repeat the details 5 or 6 times. When you hear from a king, you listen. Period.
Well, they didn't listen.
He
repeated himself a lot of times. Did he keep repeating himself after he kept whooping him? Yes.
He kept repeating himself, but he whooped him. He whooped him, then he said, all right, then you change.
Yeah, but
or you do whatever.
I'm just responding to your repeating part.
Okay, but he told Solomon one time. Wait. He told Solomon one time. Then Solomon had a whole response from time went past. I'm talking about in that one message. He said, if you do what your father do. He didn't say if you do what your father do, if you do what your father do, if you do what your father do. He didn't say that 3 times.
Right.
He said, if you do what your father David did, I will establish your reign forever. Then some time went past and Solomon did some things. He said, okay, I hear you. But if you do what your father do, I'm talking about in one message. Okay? Not saying he won't repeat himself later on down the line so you can understand what's going on. But when he spoke to Solomon, even when he spoke to David, when he gave him that message at that one time, it was do this, and this will happen. And you good. Now, David might have, some time went on, David might have forgot what was going on. He said, all right, I told you, if you follow the law and do what I asked you to do, you good. So he repeated himself, but it wasn't back to back. You dig what I'm saying? He told him something. And he gave him a straightforward what it is. Some time went on. This
maybe I might just look at it differently, y'all. I might just look at it a little differently, y'all. That's all good.
It's
very detailed. I know that much.
Yeah.
I think different situations. I think that's why I said it's different variables. It depends on what are you all saying. Are you saying for a specific situation? Yes. But it's sometimes different events or situations, he's very detailed and it's lengthy. It's never always do this, that's it. You can't show me in the Bible, point in the Old Testament, that he was do this, that's it. You can't, because that's not.
Well, I haven't seen to me at this point. Maybe I hit my reset button too much, but as from where we at now.
Deuteronomy 28 alone. Look at Deuteronomy 28 alone. All he had.
Wait a minute. He didn't repeat nothing. He listed that whole thing. It wasn't a repeating of curses.
Wait. That wasn't the basis of the conversation with Hakma. She didn't say repeating. She said he's direct, straight to the point, and then I said that he can be lengthy. Deuteronomy 28 is very lengthy on the curses. Numbers, lengthy. Everything that he puts out, a lot of it is lengthy. Some of it is very straight to the point too. That was my basis of my answer. My answering is he can be direct. Definitely, you all are 100% correct.
Wait.
But he also can be lengthy.
Wait, direct, and lengthy. You could be direct in a lengthy conversation, but it's still direct.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Stop.
Right.
So if someone says direct, it doesn't mean it don't be long. When someone says direct, it means it gets to the point. Okay?
Right.
A lot of people are not getting to the point.
I understand.
Okay,
I
so
understand, but some
if
people don't think that. I think that it depends on the person, what they feel is to the point or not. That was my point. That's why I said it depends on the person. Like you, I can sit up here and talk to you, and I can listen to you for 10 minutes. Some people can listen to you and be like, man, well, he gets it straight to the point. Or Shema, can he get straight to the point? I guess it depends on the person. That's what I was trying to say. Like, some people are short. What do you call that? What's that term? Somebody's helped me out. Like, what's the term people use today when it's too long? They got a short attention span type thing. You know what I'm saying? Some people can sit here and listen for a minute. So I guess it depends on the person that's receiving the message, maybe. I don't know. That's just observance that I see with people in general, myself, everybody.
Okay. Moving forward. Brother Mercy's in the queue. So I was going to bring Brother Mercy in. Brother Mercy, you're alive.
Yeah, brothers. Let me say this. I was going to, and I'm still going there, the 1 Kings chapter 18, but you guys brought an interesting discussion up just now. I would say that Numbers chapter 12. I'm going to read Numbers chapter 12, verse 8. Hopefully that'll answer your question. I'll start at verse 6. Numbers chapter 12, verse 6. And he said, hear now my words. If there's a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known to him in a vision, and I will speak to him in a dream. But it's not so with my servant Moses. He is entrusted and faithful in all my house. With him, I speak mouth to mouth directly, clearly and openly, and not in riddles. He beholds the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? So what is that saying? He says, with Moses, I don't speak in riddles. Now, ask Brother Mercy, do he teach his kids in riddles every day when he go to class?
Yes.
You speak just directly to them? You think the first time I tell them to shut up, they shut up? No, they don't. And when I tell them to their home, do they listen the first time? No, they don't. I tell them 1,000 times. So my thing is this. And so my thing is this. Like Shema stated so eloquently, depends on who you talking to. If you're talking to a bunch of disobedient kids, you know what y'all need to do? Y'all just need to cheat so y'all can see what Most High is really saying. You don't see, you tell your kid, I know your kids, y'all
okay, wait a minute. Stop. You talking about a word from God.
I got that, but I'm talking about practically, or practicalities. Even I'm their teacher, they're supposed to listen. That's the law. Regardless, that's still the law. You still supposed to honor those in authority over you. That's like a police officer. He pulled me over, that's Torah. If he pulls me over, I have to listen to the police officer. I can't tell the police officer, you need to be direct. You need to hurry this up so I can know where to go. You can't tell a cop that.
Y'all going a little bit. Like I don't think y'all understand what is actually being said.
I understand clearly.
It's totally different. Like, it's like, I don't know, me and y'all chopping it up is totally different. We could say, we can go off, we can have different conversations. The Most High ain't just chopping it up like that. Like, we chopping it up and we like, oh. Riddles, I might speak them or dreams or riddles. But what I'm saying is he didn't say he prolongs conversation. He's not saying that he's having, he's just chopping it up. And like if you have a dream, you might have not. It's a vision, a dream. That means you might not understand it. When I spoke to this prophet, he might not understand exactly what I'm saying. That's not a lengthy conversation. That's like if I have a dream, I might not understand what he's saying. I have to go back to the Most High and get to understand it. That's what I'm saying as far as the riddles and dreams. But that don't have nothing to do with a 2-page thing on Facebook that ain't really got nothing to do with the Most High saying it.
Okay, I got that. But hold on. Well, I don't want to say one more thing about that, though. I want to say one more thing about that. Now, we got different variables in discussion. First, we talking about the difference between directly and riddles. Yes. Now we're talking about length, which is a whole different, but that was infused into the statement. You understand what I'm saying? Because you said it was 2 pages long. I understand your point. It has nothing to do with length. But it was infused into the statement. So that variable, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it has anything to do with length. That's not my thing. I was talking about the difference between speaking directly and speaking in riddles, or speaking not indirectly. That's what I was talking about. I wasn't necessarily talking about link. But any old way, in 1 Kings chapter 18, what I wanted to deal with is Elijah, and what he didn't deal with is those 400 prophets of Asherah who tore down the old altar. I wanted to bring that out because he didn't deal with the prophets who tore down the old altar, and I think that's found in verse, man, that's powerful. Because I like Elijah's strategy. Not only did he not deal with those prophets, those were the same exact prophets that tore down the altar. Now, that's deep. So he dealt with the prophets of Baal, but the prophets of Baal are not the one that tore down the old altar. And then I wanted to say he rebuilt the old altar. He didn't make a new one. So I think the key may be, like Elijah, I think we can learn something from this, is that we need to rebuild the old altar. And so that's what Elijah did the miracle on. He rebuilt the old altar. But the prophets of Baal built their own altar. If you read the chapter, it says they built their own altar. But Elijah didn't build a new altar. He rebuilt the old one that the prophets of the 400 prophets that he did not deal with, they're the ones that tore it down. Now, that's interesting. Can false prophets of a certain group that eat Queen Jezebel's table tear down what our ancestors built up? And if they tore down what the ancestors built up, maybe that's why we're in trouble today. Because what our ancestors built has been conceived, some may say, has tore down. That spirit of our ancestors of honoring our parents and having a certain respect for the Most High. Because there used to be a time where people respected what the Most High stated. You know, there used to be a time where people, you know, a prophet, they respected them to a certain thing. And I'm not saying they always respect them. I'm just saying it just seems like that. You know, when I was growing up in Sunday church, you couldn't speak a word against the pastor. I mean, you couldn't say nothing against the pastor. I mean, that's just what it was. You know, I mean, whatever the pastor said, that's what it was. So, especially if you were younger in age, you definitely wasn't coming up against, you know, your elders and, you know, different things of that nature. I think we've lost a level of respect, and that could be because our ancestors may have lost that respect from their behavior. So I can see it from both angles. But I just wanted to say, what do you think, brothers, about rebuilding the altar, rebuilding what has been torn down, and what do you think about Elijah not addressing those? Because when Jezebel came, what did he do? He ran, didn't he?
Hold on, we ain't got there, bro. We ain't got there, bro.
Okay, I just deal with 18. Him not addressing the 400 prophets of Jezebel. Why he not addressing those 400 prophets that tore down the altar, that he had to rebuild? Why he not addressing those? And do you think that's important for us moving forward? That's my
Okay, I want to give my quick little thing about the altar thing, and then I'm gonna let Shamar say what he got to say. You might be going somewhere with this, and I think this is going back to reestablishing the kingdom and stuff like that. But to rebuild the old altar, we have to be in the place where the old altar was at, and we have to start establishing some of the things that that's my personal seeing. I can't just rebuild an altar, and it's not according to how the Most High set it up or where the Most High, allows me to do anything. It still has to be within the rights of the Most High. So, yes, do I believe that some of this stuff should be reestablished? So, yes. But how and where it should be reestablished, like you just said, the old one. So that's not over here in America to me, and I'm not saying you saying that, but, eventually we're going to have to get back to square root one in my mind. And that's all I got for that. I don't know, Shamar, you can go ahead and answer the question unless you're just saying, you that's it, you agree.
We got like 35 minutes left, if that. So, I'm ready to go ahead and let you, finish out your chapter, make sure you get that in. So I'm good with what you all were speaking on.
All right, we'll keep on going forward from 19. All right. Like I said, it's only 21 verses, but I wanted to address something just like he was saying, and they had reported to Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he slew all the prophets with the sword, going back to him killing them personally. And Jezebel sent a message to Elijah saying, so let the mighty ones do to me, and more so, if I don't take your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. Okay? Well, he was threatened. And he feared and rose up and ran for his life, and he went to Beersheba, which belongs to Yehuda, and left his servant there. Okay, so he was afraid, he ran. It's just what Brother Mercy had just brought out. All right. But he himself went a day's journey in the wilderness and came and sat down under the broom tree and prayed that he might die, and said, it is enough. Now, Yahweh, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers. All right. I found it quite interesting that he just wanted to die there. You know, he was ready to die. He was fearful of his life. He ran. He was ready to die. And then this man just killed, a slew of prophets. He just seen the works of the Most High. This just showed you that I don't care how much on that level that the Most High might use you at, fear can still strike forth. You can still be afraid of your life like Abraham was when he lied twice, okay? And it doesn't say this make him less of a person. The Most High understands that you know, we're human, okay? And then, all right, and 5, he says, and he lay and slept under the broom tree, and see a messenger touched him, and he said, rise and eat. He looked and saw his head, a cake baked on coals, and a jar of water. So he ate and drank and turned and lay down. The messenger came back and second time and touched him, rise and eat, for the journey is too long for you. And he rose, ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights as far as Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. All right? It's another 40 days and 40 nights. All right? So basically he done fasted for 40 days and 40 nights after eating that. We got Moses. There was the 40 days and 40 nights also, okay, on the mountain, Sinai, okay? I remember I was telling y'all in the beginning of this show, not this show, but beginning of the show in whole, about these certain numbers. I don't know, I can't tell you exactly what it means, but I can tell you that they're being repeated, all right? And then I'm going to skip down. I wanted to read 10 real quick. All right. And he said, this is Elijah, I have been very jealous for Yahweh, Elohim of hosts, for the children of Israel has forsaken your covenant, and they have thrown down your slaughter place, and they have killed your prophets with the sword. And I am left, I alone, and they seek my life to take it. All right. And then I'm going to skip down to... Well, I got to give you context a little bit. All right, and the Most High said, go out and stand before the mountain, and he passed a great strong wind, and it says that passed by the great strong wind, tearing the mountains and breaking the rocks in pieces before Yahweh. Yahweh was not in the wind, and after that earthquake, and he wasn't in the earthquake. All right, and after the earthquake, and after the earthquake, a fire. Yahweh was not in the fire. After the fire, a still small voice. Okay, and it came to be in there. Elijah heard it. He wrapped his face, and he went out there to hear what the voice had to say, okay? And then he repeated what he just said about being jealous for the people. And then in 15, this is where my point was at. Yahweh said to him, go return to your way to the wilderness of Damascus, and you shall go down and anoint Hazael as sovereign over Aram. Okay? The one thing I saw about that is the prophets do the anointings thus far in my studies and what I've seen thus far. A prophet is the one that does the anointing of making someone king. Okay? So until we can establish who a prophet is, we might not be able to establish any kings in a new kingdom or anything like that. Because this anointing, it seems to me to be happening from Prophet Samuel and all this other stuff, and the Most High telling him to anoint as being sovereign. Unless missed something. And then in the 16, it says, and anoint Yehu, son of Nishma, as sovereign over Israel. And anoint Elijah, son of Shaphat of Abel, Mecholah, as prophet in your place. So this is where Elisha, everybody heard about the story about Elisha, but this is where Elisha was anointed. So he anointed 2 kings and another prophet. All right? Notice that this anointing comes before the other kings are dead. It's something that I also saw. All right? But a prophet does the anointing, and I didn't never notice this before him, but this prophet anointed the next prophet to take his place. This made all 3 of them Mashiachs, point blank, period. But it was just amazing to me that I kind of never caught that before, like a prophet anointing another prophet to be the prophet. Maybe it was there, I just never really caught it. And as I've seen thus far, we already talked about this, but prophets are the only ones I've seen doing the anointing thus far. And I might have missed something if I'm wrong, but that's okay. And I shall leave, in 18, I shall leave 7,000 in Israel. All those who not bow to Baal, and every mouth that does not kiss them. So going back to this remnant, out of all those people in Israel, it was 7,000 that had not bowed down to the Baal. You know what I'm saying? And when it means by kiss them, I don't know if they actually was going up and kissing them, but I thought of that as basically, just as well as the fornicated with other idols and, a figure of speech. That's what I looked at it as, the same type of deal, like, when they make a covenant and all this other stuff, and, they've been adulterers with other idols. Those are the same type of terms. So, but I just, and look at that, 7,000. It was only 7,000 in the word, and the number 7. So it's either I'm losing my mind like Jim Carrey, or I just see numbers everywhere. Okay, and then then basically context. He went and found Elijah. All right, and in 20, he left the oxen and ran after Elijah and said, "Please let me kiss my father and mother, and then I'll follow you." And he said, "Go turn back, for what have I done to you?" Kind of didn't understand that whole concept. All right, in 21, he turned back to him and took a yoke of oxen and slaughtered them and cooked their flesh using the implements of the oxen and gave it to the people. And they ate, and they rose up and followed Elijah and became Elijah and became his servant. What I didn't understand was when he asked him, "Can I go back and kiss my mother and father?" and he say, "Go turn back, for what have I done to you?" Maybe he was like, I think I might have just looked too deeper into it, but he basically telling him, "Hey, come on right now." He said, "Hold on, let me say goodbye to my family." "Oh, man, go ahead. I don't know what I'd have done." Maybe it was just something that simple. You know what I'm saying? And because he ended up following them, you know what I'm saying, yet still, but he was like telling him, like, "Yeah, go ahead and say goodbye to your family." I don't know what I was thinking by telling him, "Just come on right now." That's possibly what it could have been. It just seemed like when I first read it, it looked like a little deeper, so I had wrote it down on my little page. But that's about all I got for that one. And then we're going to take long for that chapter. Shema, if you had something, go ahead. If you're not on mute. Well, since Shema's not talking, okay.
I am talking.
Huh?
I was talking the whole time, but I was talking the whole time, and then when you said mute, that's when I looked at my phone, like, oh, you're right, I was on mute. But what I was saying is, no, you did a good job. You touched on, the things I would have brought out. So I don't have anything to add. So.
All right, Brother Mercy, I see you in the queue. I don't know if you never got out the queue. So if you could press 1 and then press 1 again if you wanted to get back in the queue so I can know whether or not you're trying to get in. If you can't get out, well, you know what I can do. There you go. You got out real quick. All right. Okay. All right, Brother Mercy, I see you. I'm going to let you in since Shema don't have too much to say. You don't have nothing? Shema?
No, I don't have anything to add.
All right. I'm going to bring Brother Mercy in. All right. Brother Mercy, you're live.
Yeah, brothers, I think those 400 prophets of Jezebel, or the 8 of the Queen Jezebel's table, I think we shouldn't skip over that. And Queen Jezebel, I think she's the main character in this. And he didn't address Queen Jezebel, who tore down the old altar. He didn't address that. And now we see what he didn't address is creating a problem for him later. And then maybe he didn't, and then she tore down the old altar. He didn't address it. Now she's making threats towards him here. I just wanted to say, though, that, and then look what the Most High says. Look what the Most High says. Listen to what the Most High says. If you really listen to what he says, the Most High doesn't really deal with that either, because he says he's reserved 7,000 who have not bowed down to Baal. He didn't say anything about them not worshiping the goddess of Asherah. So I just wanted to say that 7,000 could have not bowed down to Baal. That's true. I mean, that's true. That's a fact. But could they have had some other items like Asherah? Because we got to deal with these. Because what we got to understand, what we don't deal with, we got to deal with it later, as Elijah's learning here. He didn't deal with that issue before. Now he's got to deal with it now, and he's running. And that 7,000, they could have, maybe they agree with Elijah when it comes to Baal, But I wonder if they agree with Elijah when it comes to Asherah, the other goddess. Because, we got to attack these idols one by one. You see what I'm saying? And all that altar did was destroy Baal. That's all it did. It didn't kill none of in other words, it didn't kill all the false prophets. It only killed 450 out of 850. It didn't kill all of them. So I just wanted to say that. We may have a miracle from the Most High, but that miracle may only kill a part of the enemy, not the entire enemy. And what it does not address, or what we don't address, or what we don't preach against, we got to deal with it later. We might be running from it later. So I just say, I think sometimes we are running from these things. We don't talk. So some things we don't talk about. We run from, whatever you want to call it. All symbolic. But I just wanted to say, though, I think, what do you think about, brothers, us running away, like Elijah, from things that's hard to deal with and things that destroy the old altar? Because I might be afraid of what destroyed the old altar. I might be afraid, as they say, how they say the old way don't work? Or they may say, what my mother told me didn't work in this situation. You can say that. What my parents told me didn't work over here. Oh, so I say that to say, what do you think? My question is, what do you think about those trials and tribulations that destroy what we built up and us being afraid to address those things? Like Reg Day says, that fear. I think, that fear factor, but there may be a reason behind that fear factor. Maybe a reason. Maybe we were defeated in that battle. Maybe it's a battle we've lost and we don't talk about. And so that battle, we're afraid. It creates fear, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say, what do you guys think about that, those Jezebels, those prophets of Jezebel who destroyed the old altar? Now Elijah's running away from Jezebel, because Elijah's one of the greatest prophets of the Old Testament. Now Elijah's running away from Jezebel, and now the Most High says, I reserve 7,000 who have not bowed down to Baal. Okay? But say nothing about Asherah, the other goddess. But that's all I wanted to say. What do you think about that?
Personally, I thought, and maybe I was wrong, I have to look deeper into it. I thought that it was 7,000 that ain't bow down neither. I know you got to respect the show.
I know.
So I didn't think of it that way. So I can't really give you. I have to look deeper into that. I can't really give you a 100% educated answer without looking deeper into it because of my original thought. You understand? And then, so even when he said that he killed the prophets, I thought he killed all them prophets. According to the scripture. So, you know what I'm saying? I have to look back and read that real quick and see, you know what I'm saying? Because that's just my perspective. I thought he killed all the prophets, and I thought the 7,000 was 7,000. They just didn't do it at all. And maybe it's a word term thing with Baals. I don't know. I have to look deeper into it, and this is possibly something that I can put into the Salt Ones Talk Radio as far as something I have to look into and give you an answer in that group, because I might have to, I got to do a little bit more studying to give you my answer personally. And so, Shema.
What's the exact question?
Yeah, my question is, now remember there were 850 prophets there, okay? But Elijah only addressed the 450 prophets of Baal. He only addressed the 450 prophets of Baal. That's the only one he contested at that mountain. The other 400 prophets that ate at the queen's table, Jezebel had her own prophets too. And those 400 prophets of Jezebel that worshiped the other goddess, those were not addressed. They were not addressed. And so since they were not addressed, they lived on. And then Elijah, we read in the next chapter how Elijah is running away from Jezebel. Okay, why is Elijah running? Because he didn't address Jezebel. He didn't address her prophets. He only addressed the prophets of Baal. And remember, it was Jezebel, we read in the previous chapter, it was Jezebel who destroyed the old altar. Maybe that's why Elijah's afraid of her, because she destroyed the old altar that he had to rebuild. So she had the ability to destroy the old altar. So there's some enemies out there that got the ability to destroy the old altar. So I just wanted to say that in the altar, Shema is symbolic.
Yeah,
I'm not being serious. Although it's literal in this story. Although it's literal in the story, I'm being symbolic. Although it's literal. So it is very literal. So I just wanted to say, though, Jezebel had that ability. And, sometimes we don't want to address this. We don't want to address
Okay,
that.
wait a minute. Mercy. Okay. I just went back now. Let me get a little question of some background, and then maybe you can help me out on what you're talking about. Now we're talking about the prophets of Baal and the prophets of Asherah, right?
That's right.
Okay, the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table, right?
That's right.
Okay, but then I thought, okay, this is why I thought it was all of them. In 19, now send and gather all Israel to me on Mount Carmel. And then there's a comma, which that wouldn't have been there, but it says the 400 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah who eat it. I thought he was telling them to gather them all at the same time.
Okay, I got that, but who answered him? Who is he arguing with?
Well, at this time, he's talking to Ahab. Now, you talking about... I'm just reading it a little bit.
Trust me, he addresses the prophets of Baal. Those are the ones that were killed.
He do, and in 22, he do say, I alone left the prophets, but the prophets of Baal are 450 men. And now let them give us 2 bulls. So I guess I see what you're saying. Because he only talks about the prophets of Baal at that point.
That's
and
right.
He's only talking to the prophets of Baal. Okay, I see what you're saying now. All right. Now, you can go ahead and continue. I just wanted to make sure we was on the same. I wanted to see where you was at.
I want you to see, what I want you to see here is most people regard Elijah as the most powerful prophet in the Old Testament. And he does not address something. And I really believe he has a reason for not addressing it.
And you know, because he doesn't address the prophets that sit at they eat at Queen Jezebel's table, the ones that worship as the other goddess. So I'm saying this, he doesn't. And then who does he run from after he defeats the prophets of Baal? Who does he run from? Jezebel. So he's not addressing her prophets and not addressing Jezebel. What he's not addressing is scary. To me, it's a fear factor. I think it's a fear factor. I think he's afraid of Jezebel. And we see that in the next chapter. He's running. So if he's running, he's not addressing it. If you run away from something, you're not addressing it. You know, so, and I see that in the previous chapter. But I just wanted to say, though, and she was able, if you can read in that previous chapter, how she tore down the old altar. The old altar was tore down, but she tore it down. The scripture says that she tore it down. So he doesn't address her. He doesn't address her ones that eat at her table. And so he don't even address the idol, Asherah. He only addressed Baal. And then the next chapter, the Most High says, I reserved 7,000. Because remember, Elijah's complaint is, I'm the only one left. And he is the only one left if we consider the other goddess. What Most High is saying, we already got rid of the 450 Baal prophets. That's what he's saying. I got rid of the 450. But what the scriptures, I guess, what I'm seeing in the scriptures are saying, it's another 400 prophets that haven't been dealt with yet. And Jezebel has not been dealt with yet. You know, so, what was that, Mount Moriah? It only dealt with Baal. That's it. That's my consensus. It only dealt with Baal. It didn't deal with all the false idols. So my question to Shemai is this. What do you think about us destroying this great miracle that was done? It only destroyed one of the idols, Baal. It didn't destroy all of them. So what do you think about that? And do you think we run today from some of these idols that, like Elijah, that have destroyed the old altar or destroyed, you know? Because remember, I mean, we got to admit, some of our traditions, people have been destroyed. We don't have our own traditions, Shema. We got European traditions. So our own traditions have been destroyed.
Hey, but let me cut you off for a second just to say one thing that's kind of something that you brought up. We talk about the goddess Ishtar, Asherah. I mean, that's still being worshipped today in certain aspects and certain beliefs. So you might have a point, you know. You might have some kind of point. You know, so I don't, like I told you, I'll get back to you if I can, you know what I'm saying, in a timely manner. But I can't give you.
It's not just you, Rick Dane. It's not just you. Many preachers who read that verse, and it's repeated by Paul in the New Testament. And so it's repeated by Paul in the New Testament. St. Paul. It's repeated. And people look down at Elijah and say Elijah was wrong. No, Elijah may have been right. But what Elijah's intention may have been, I'm the only prophet who don't worship any idols at all. You see what I'm saying? And it's repeated in the New Testament. Maybe what Paul is saying is this. Yeah, the prophets of Baal have been destroyed. But Paul, because I know Paul dealt with idolatry in his day, I'm pretty sure he did. And I think Asherah is repeated in the New Testament. I think it is listed. Just a little, you know, just a little thing. I think Asherah is mentioned in the New Testament. But, you know, I just wanted to say, maybe what Paul and Elijah is saying, hey, we defeated Baal at Mount Moriah. But there's some idols out there that we haven't defeated yet and that Elijah ran from and we might be running from. So I just wanted to say that. What do you think about that, Shema? Do you think we run away from idols, a battle with idols today? Do you think Jezebel has destroyed some of our traditions? And so now we got these idolatrous traditions, and what we're trying to get out of are these idolatrous traditions because our traditions were destroyed. So now we got to rebuild what Jezebel destroyed. But in our rebuilding, we still haven't held accountable those who destroyed our traditions.
Maybe that'll help erect Dane out. You know, we rebuilding the altar, but we're not holding those accountable who destroyed the altar. Nah, you ain't catching it. Somebody has destroyed our traditions somehow, and we're not holding them accountable. What do you think about that, Shema?
No, you got a point. I think it's interesting. I think it's some truth in it. So, you know.
But who we hold accountable, Shema? We're holding the prophets of Baal accountable, but the ones who destroyed our traditions, we letting them go.
Yeah, we join.
You know, it's almost like
traditions that they take on.
It's almost like Israelite camp fighting against Israelite camp, but the white man walking away free. We fight against each other, but the ones who really destroyed our traditions is getting away scot free. Anyway, that's just my take.
I think that's an interesting thing, and I think that's something we could probably talk about on a different day because we are coming up on the end of our show.
My bad.
And it was no. It was good. It was actually good. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I say, it is you know, something that you don't really catch or might not catch right off top. And then, like you say, it happens some kind of, you know, I see where you're going, but it's like a bigger. I probably got 1,000 things to say right now, but I ain't got 1,000 things to say time. So, but I will say this ain't discrediting nothing. It seems like I can see a point within it, you know, but this is like a real bigger conversation, so maybe this is something that we could revisit at another time. And if I might try to write it down, but my memory's so bad I forget to write it down. So I would say, Mercy, you write this down, and we'll try to remember this because, you know, we got a rush show coming up in a couple weeks. And maybe this is a little subtopic or something small that we can deal with. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because we do have more rest shows now, so we don't have to wait as long to get to some of these topics that we have during in the show. Or, like you say, the Talk Once Talk Radio group. I mean, put a post up in there, you know what I'm saying, and we can kind of converse going back and forth. Not to just the Talk Once Talk, the one say it's Talk Once Talk Radio, because that's exclusively for what was said on the show. You know what I'm saying, Mercy? Brother Mercy? Or maybe.
Oh yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I just need to.
So you know what I'm saying? Because it's more of a conversion thing, and like I said, it's deeper than just that could be explained. Because I'm like, oh, I kind of see where you're going with this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, but I can get once I start getting into that type of subject, you know what I'm saying, conversation's gonna get kind of lengthy. But that's all I got, man. Brother Mercy, I'm gonna take you out the queue real quick. Because we about to wrap it up. We got a couple minutes. Don't forget about, you know what I'm saying, making your post or just writing it down or whatever you might do, you know what I'm saying, and remember. And we will revisit that later. If nobody else has anything as far as pressing the one, I think Sister Bahagma been in that queue, but I don't think she can get out of it because she ain't got out the queue yet. So I'm going to pass the floor. I'm sorry, Shimon, took over your thing. But I'm going to pass the mic back to you, and I'm going to shut up.
All right, Sister Hagma, press 1 if you want to get out the queue or keep it. If you want to say something real quick, just like go out real quick and come back in. All right, well, that concludes the show, everyone. Did you have anything to end with? Anything to say before I close out in prayer? Like a closing remark, and then I'll do my closing remark and then close out with prayer.
All I want to say is it was a great show, and a lot of stuff was brought out, and just tune in to us next week. We're going to finish out 1 Kings. should be the host, I believe it is. Yeah, one of them. Yeah, the the host, something like that. And he'll be back, and I know he listens to the show, and he'll have probably some comments or whatever. But like I was just telling Brother Mercy on his Talk Once Talk Radio, you know, if you have any questions or something that you want to say, you can put it in there according to this show. And we have the other one, his Talk Once Talk Facebook group, that it doesn't have to be about the show. We try to centralize the things that's just centrally about the show to that one, where it has radio at the end. I'm just going to throw out my email. It's Orekdin, OREKHDIYN at Yahoo, and that's how you can reach me. I couldn't remember what Get It Y'all, the one for all of us is, but we have our YouTube page that we would say subscribe to. We're going to keep throwing that out there. Subscribe, tell people to subscribe. It's Talk Once Talk. YouTube, that's how you can find us, and now all the shows are being put on there, courtesy of Brother Yeti Yah. And that's all I got. I know time is winding down, so I'm just trying to just throw those couple avenues out there. Yield the flow back to Shema.
All right, everybody, we appreciate you tuning in. Hope you got something out of today's contextual study. The email he was speaking of, I believe it is his Talk Once Talk Radio at gmail.com. If you have any comments, just make sure you find us on Facebook as well. It's Talk Once Talk Radio. And any questions, any thoughts, my email is shematalmido at yahoo.com. You also can find me on Twitter at Shema Ben Yael, all together. And that's about it. So everybody clear your minds. Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to come again in fellowship with your word. We hope that people got some good things out of it. We hope that it allows their journey to become more easier with dealing with your literature, dealing with your text. We ask that you pour your spirit out, your love on those that need it the most, and those that just love you in general. We ask that you cover those that are out in the heat right now, that are homeless, those that need you more than any one of us on the line right now. We ask that you comfort them and bring them closer to you. We ask that you cover us of our sins, forgive us of our sins, and lead us down a better path to continue to keep your spirit amongst us and do not take your spirit away. And we love you. We appreciate you. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.